someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something looks like a man. I don't know what it was, just that it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was, whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it. So whatever it was, it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Dio!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes.
You're listening to Paranormal 411, coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep within the Appalachian Mountains, bringing you the unknown with your hosts David Reagan and Jason Scott. Paranormal 411. All right, welcome to the show.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, this is 2 in a row, isn't it? Did we do
No, we didn't do one last week.
Oh, well,
You
never
was
mind.
somewhere else.
I was in another state. I was, wasn't I? Right.
Yeah.
I was up in Pennsylvania. That's where I was last week. So how you doing, Jason?
Doing
good?
pretty good. Doing pretty good. We got a heck of a show tonight.
Oh, yes. You know,
Guy I've been following for a long time. Finally got him on here.
yeah, definitely. And stay tuned because, you know, he will answer any questions and anything you have in the chat room. And if you want to call in later, especially if you're on Podbean, if you want to call in later, you can. Right, Jason?
Yeah, we got Raccoon 6 in Podbean.
What's
and
up?
we got Bird Dog.
Oh, and Paranormal 411 chat
Yep.
room. What's up, everybody?
We got Mr. Daniel Jackson coming on tonight. He's a spirit medium.
It's going to be a good show.
Yes, it is.
It is.
We love shows like this.
Remember, we are live on Spreaker and on Podbean, like we just said. We're also live on our website at paranormal411.org. Also, we want to thank everybody that's premium members.
Oh,
You make
yeah.
this possible. And a lot less costly on us. But we want to thank everybody, everybody that listens and tunes in, whether you're able to tune in live or you come in later on and you tune in, on the podcast itself. We want to thank everybody for that.
Oh, yeah. And remember, if you're on Podbean or Spreaker, you can come over to paranormal411.org and sign up, become a member. It's free. Right, David?
It's free. I like free.
I took over your
did.
thing here.
You did it good, though.
It's totally free, and you get to come in, listen to the live show, and chat with us. We'd like to get all the chat rooms in one spot, but
At sometime here soon, we will have a better monitor situation to where it'll be easier.
oh yeah. So we will. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right, we're going to go to a little This Day in History with David Reagan.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
So today is February 18th, 2022. On this day in 1930, Pluto was discovered by Clyde Tombaugh using a 13-inch or 33-centimeter telescope at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. Clyde Tombaugh was a 24-year-old American with no formal training in astronomy, and he discovered the dwarf planet Pluto. Isn't that crazy?
Is it still a planet?
I think it wasn't, and it is again.
What about Uranus?
We won't talk about my anus. So, also on this day in 2010, the website WikiLeaks. Let me redo that. WikiLeaks began posting classified U.S. government documents provided by Army intelligence analyst Bradley and later Chelsea Manning. It was believed to be the largest unauthorized release of the state secrets in U.S. history. And that is just a few things that happened on this day in history.
That's pretty interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Yep.
On one side, you had a planet, and the other side, you had WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
Licks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens with Uranus. But no, that's it. So, ready to go take a quick break.
Yeah.
And then after this break, we will have our guest come on.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
So, yeah, we got to take a quick break to hit the
Cha-ching.
money spot here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with Daniel Jackson.
The spirit medium.
Spirit medium.
Yes. This is going to be great. So stay tuned. Remember, you're listening to Paranormal 411. You could visit us at paranormal411.org or on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal 411. And your hosts are Jason Scott and David Reagan. And we'll be back in just a few minutes.
In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs. This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal 411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.
All right, we're back.
All right.
After that quick little break.
Yes, and we want to thank the band Catalyst for allowing us to play their music. And for everybody that likes their music, that lives in the area, they will be in Knoxville playing in April. And
Oh, yeah.
so definitely look forward to that. Be kind of fun to go listen to them.
Where are they playing at?
They're playing at Open Chord, I think it is.
Yeah, Open Chord.
And
March,
is it March?
I think. We'll get back with you on that.
I should have been a little bit more. No, it was right. It was April 16th.
April 16th.
Yep, save the date. April 16th. So I was right. It was April.
Open Chord.
Yes, and it's going to be a great show. I've been to a bunch of their shows before, and they do put on a great show. So I would definitely make it, make it out there if I could. I'm going to be there. Jason's going to be there.
Oh,
if you're able to make it, come by and say hi to us.
All right. So tonight we got Daniel Jackson, the Spirit Medium. Been trying to get him on here for a while. After a few hiccups, we finally got him. Daniel, he's been gifted with the ability to communicate with archangels and spirits. With this information, he guides and assists others to fulfill their spiritual path. Daniel loves call-in segments, so if you're out there and you're listening, you want to call in, we urge you to. Just hit the call-in button on Podbean. And his main goal is to teach people about their reason for existence and to help them to become a better version of themselves. It is with his intention that he operates out of a spirit of love and compassion. That's a pretty nice little
Bio, isn't it?
bio, yeah.
I like
So we got Daniel going. You here?
Yes, I'm here, David. I am here, Jason. Just wondering, are we going to be talking about spirit tonight, or are we going to be talking about the money spot of Uranus?
Oh, You think you could tie that in together?
Yeah. That might be a pretty good tie in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody can tie something in with that.
Oh, Lord. That's funny.
Oh,
That's
so
good.
how you doing tonight?
I'm doing better than I was earlier today. I'm still recovering from the flu. I had the flu for about 3 weeks. I was in bed for 2.5 weeks of that, and it was pretty bad. Within a month's time, I lost 30 pounds. So,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, I came out here to Arizona weighing 200 pounds, and then it hit me, and now I weigh 170, and I'm having a hard time keeping my pants up. So,
You gotta buy a
Yeah.
smaller belt, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I went from an XL to a medium, so, but other than that,
So we
it's
know
been
what kind of
pretty
shirt
good.
to send you now then. A medium shirt.
Right. Yeah, you can look for that Spirit Medium Daniel shirt being, I'm not an XL, I'm a medium. How about that?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've been getting our show back on track. Like I said, we moved out here from Delaware about 2.5 months ago. We drove across the United States with my truck, my wife's, 4Runner, 2 trailers, and 10 cats. Yeah, that was a little bit interesting. The cats didn't do too bad until we actually got here. One of the cats he was an older cat. He really did not want to leave, and he just didn't fare well. He actually quit eating, so much so that it was about maybe after 3 weeks of being here, we had to, we were about to put him down because his kidneys and everything was shutting down. It was a hard time for us.
That's terrible.
But I'll tell you what happened. They brought him in because we brought him to the vet, and they brought him in and they sat him in my arms. They had this blanket around him. And I told him right then and there, I said, you don't have to stay here anymore. You can go. It's time for you to go home. Don't worry. When I get home, I will find you. And they were about maybe 5 seconds from pushing that stuff into his veins to put him out. And he looked up at me and took a big sigh of breath. He went, and he was gone.
Wow.
Just like that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the second time that has happened to me with a cat. I had a cat before him for 16 years, and the same thing. He was getting ready to go, and I said the same thing to him. He was just laying there on the couch, and I said the same thing. I said, you can go. You've been here long enough. It's time for you to go. When you get home, just wait for me, because that's what I call it, home. This isn't home. You're just learning things and fulfilling a purpose here. Where you leave and go here is back to the spiritual family where you know everybody. And I said, you just go home and wait for me, and I'll show up eventually. And he looked up at me and did the same thing, took a big breath, and then that was it, and he was gone. So, but yeah, and that's what I try to teach people as well, is this is not your home. Where you are right now is not your home. Your actual name that you have now, like David and Jason, is not your real name. Your real name, your spiritual name, is more of a sound, more of a vibrational thing. And when you get back home to your true family, you know everybody. So when I say everybody, I mean you don't just go back and meet up with the 200 or 300 people that you met here on Earth in this lifetime, because you've had many, many lifetimes. And you go back home, which we call heaven. It's just another place to go. You're just in a different form at that point. You're pure energy. And you go back home and you know everybody. And what I mean by everybody is, if you go out in the world now, there's 7 or 9 billion people. As many people that are here are that many people who are back there. And not just people, but dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, everything. And you know every single one of them because you're related to all of them, because that's where you come from, not here.
That's pretty fascinating.
Eye-opening?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going.
The world doesn't teach you that stuff. The world doesn't want you to know that stuff, because if you did know that stuff, if you did know how much power and control you actually have over yourself, they wouldn't be able to have it over you.
Right.
Yeah. I believe something, I've always believed something along those lines as far as that goes, that I've had some experiences when I was a young kid that made me start going down the path that this wasn't my first rodeo for sure. And that I'd been around before. And
You want to know how many times?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
David, you've been here. Let's see, let me find out real quick and ask them. So the way that I do it is they put a number in my head. I ask them, is that the number? And then they actually touch me on my face for yes or no answers. I only get one answer for a no, but I get touched by many different, what we would refer to as archangels, for a yes answer. And you've been here, you're on number life 27, meaning you've had 26 other lifetimes, meaning you've had 26 other moms and dads, 26 brothers and sisters, 26 dogs and cats, whatever. You've also had 26 other astrological signs that mean absolutely nothing, because that only pertains to the body and nothing to do with the soul.
So if you do reincarnate like that, your soul,
everybody does.
Could it be an animal?
No, people always love that when they say, next time I come back here, man, I'm coming back as a shark, or I'm coming back as an eagle, something crazy like that. But no, there is a circle of life. There's a way of going about it. You come back as a person. Everybody comes back as a person. Dogs come back as dogs. Horses come back as horses, and cows and sharks come back as sharks. But
Okay.
Yeah, and the other part about that is when you're here, only the body suffers. Only the body feels pain. The soul does not feel any pain because the soul is within the body. The body is a vessel for that soul. That's it. They are not actually, it's taking a ride in the body, but it's not so much connected that it's feeling the pain that the body. What it is doing is learning the experience of that pain.
Right.
So when you are here, and if you go out to the steakhouse and you have a steak, when you get back home, back into the spirit realm, a cow is not going to walk up to you and say, "Hey, man, how come you ate my ass back down on Earth?" You know,
Right.
You were good.
They know the way the circle of life is. They know where they are in the chain of life, especially being within the food chain. So they're not going to come back and hold a grudge against you, especially because when you get back home, in order to go home, because there are two places to go, you either cross over into the light or you don't, and you remain here in earthbound spirit. But in order to cross over, you have to let go of all your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff. In order to cross over, at that point, you become a beautiful, white, light, loving soul again, of which you were before you came here, because all that other stuff that you now know while you're here on Earth, you learned it, every bit of it, except for one thing, love. That just comes with you. Because you can tell how people learn things. If you take two children of the age of 2 years old, of every race, creed, and color, and then you stick them all in a giant stadium-sized room, then you take two of those kids and turn them around and tell them, "Hey, I want you to point to me. Who in this room do you hate?" Those kids are going to turn around and look at you and go, "I don't know what you're talking about." Because they haven't learned how to hate yet. But they will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a learned behavior.
Yes. Just as is anger, as is sorrow, as is greed. That's all learned from everybody else. And everybody in this world, every person comes through into this world with the same abilities that I have. It's just some are meant to keep it and some aren't. What happens is you get here, you hear about this all the time. Somebody you know who has a child who says they're speaking to dead people, or they're speaking to the imaginative friends. No, they're speaking to spirit. But what happens is, because they grow up and then they learn the ways of the world from everyone else, it fades away. But for some people, it does stick with them. And then they are eventually woken up at a certain period of their time, in their time here, to get a hold, to figure those abilities out, and then to use them. But hopefully use them in the correct manner, in the manner of which they want us to use it for, which is to teach other people, to help other people. But not all of them do. There's a lot of mediums out there I know that charge $450, $500 an hour. My thing with that is, you don't need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. What you need to do is help each other throughout this world. And then if we started doing that, this place would be a whole heck of a lot nicer place. But we don't.
Right. Yeah, I know, from the age of 3, I started seeing spirits.
Right,
And,
because you were pure of heart. You could.
Yeah. And it's something that still sticks with me today. Now, at the age of 3, it was a scary thing.
Well, of course, because everyone taught you it's scary, because you're supposed to be scared of monsters and all that stuff.
Right.
There's no monsters. There are negative energies, and they were just horrible people here on Earth who did not cross over and remained on the earthbound side, and they are still horrible. And what they do is come through, and they can antagonize the crap out of you if they want to, because in that realm, there's no rules there. That's all. It's like the Amityville horror crap. Mm-hmm. I mean, truthfully, the movies sensationalized it to do one thing, sell tickets. That's it.
Right.
But what really happened is those spirits were in that house. People came to live in that house. Those spirits did not want them in that house, and they did everything they could to get them to leave. And once they leave, then they're happy again.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're demons and devils. They just want that person to leave.
Right. Well, see, for me, when I got to about the age of 5, now these things used to torment me. They'd chase me around the house all night, just about every single night. But when I was the age of 5, I turned around and I said, "I'm not afraid of you no more." And it stopped.
When you were a kid, were your mom and dad did they ever chase you around the house?
Well, I had a terrible childhood, so I would have asked for my mom and dad to chase me around the house if that would have been the worst I could have gotten.
And that's all Spirit was doing too. What were they doing? They were getting your attention.
Yeah, I think, looking back on it as an adult now, maybe they were wanting something, but I just didn't. I just saw it as people being in my room that shouldn't have been in there, and it scared me.
Right, absolutely.
And
because you weren't aware of what was actually really going on. They may have needed your help because they know that children can see them, and they may have wanted you to help them in some type of way. But they understand as well that, what's a child going to know? Because a child is being taught other shit instead.
Yeah. I was at that time of my life, it was crazy.
So are those the earthbound spirits that you talk about that went to the left instead of going into the light?
Yeah, you either go into the light or you don't. You just stay here.
Stay here, and I understand it because I've listened to your stuff before. It's free will, right?
Yes, everyone has free will. God gave us all free will. It is a choice for you to go into the light. You don't have to beg for forgiveness. You don't need to ask God about judgment or anything like that, because God doesn't judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? Because he doesn't. And when you go into heaven, when you actually make it into heaven, because no one goes to heaven right away, where you will go is a holding place, and they will go over your life with you. The reason you go to that holding place are 2 reasons. One, because 130,000 people die every day and you have to wait your freaking turn. And 2, they're going to go over your life with her. They're not going to tell you what you did wrong. They're just going to tell you what you did and what you could have done in turn from what you did. And what the reason of that is because, like I said, you're here to learn lessons, but you're here to fulfill a purpose. If you don't fulfill your purpose, or if you don't fulfill it enough, that's why you come back. It's not punishment or anything like that. More or less what you're doing is you are still, in layman's terms, for what people can understand here, you're filling your dance card. And your dance card says you have to go out and fulfill your purpose this much. And if you don't get it done in this lifetime, we'll just send you back again, over and over and over again. And that's why people keep coming back. If you go out into the world right now, if you went outside and looked at everybody in the world, all those 7 billion people, you have been to heaven and had to come back. And so did they. Every one of them. They just don't know it until that time comes when you do go home and they say, "Hey, Jason, you've done it. Now you can stay home." And then at that point, they will ask you, because instead of telling you you have to come back, they will ask you, "Do you want to go back?" And what's your answer going to be this time, Jason?
Probably no.
Absolutely right. I don't want anyone to have to come back again, because I know what's coming.
Right.
And what's coming is, how old are you now, Jason? Because I'm not psychic.
I'm 51.
Okay. So since you're 51, at the age you would pass away, because you're over the age of 30 years old, whatever it is that you pass away at that age, You won't come back again if you had to come back for another at least 80 years. You may come back maybe a little bit later than that, but not for at least 80 years. Reason being is so no one can recognize you. That's why I tell everyone, don't mess with the 23andMe or the Ancestry.com, because the person you're looking up from 100 years ago that looks similarly like you was you.
Mm-hmm.
So you come back 80 years after that, and I'm telling you, you don't want to be here in this world 80 years, even 80 years from now, because it will look exactly like there won't be any TV, there won't be any telephones, there won't be any computers running gas cars, none of that stuff. It will be like more like what's that movie with? Man, went right out of my head.
Like,
it'll be a war torn place.
oh,
Yeah. Like with Mel Gibson,
like the Book of Eli.
Yeah, like a Book of Eli, or the other one with Mel Gibson.
I can't think of
Yeah.
it.
Oh my goodness! I've watched.
I know, man. It's right on my tongue. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Good thing
Yeah,
we don't
so
do
that's
a
what
show
it's gonna
about
look like.
Movies.
So that's why I tell everybody to go out and try to fulfill your purpose. And your purpose is very simple in life, because your purpose, just like Jason, just like David, just like anybody else out there, your purpose, our purpose is the same for everyone. It's not by using your ego and making your ego tell you, oh, it's going to be some big grandiose thing so you can look cooler than everybody else. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. Your purpose is not becoming a doctor or not becoming a basketball player or a lawyer or anything. What you will fulfill your purpose while doing that, but what you will do is fulfill your purpose being human. And your purpose is, we are here to help each other just for the sake of helping, just because you can, just because you should. And it's going to be a physical thing. It's not going to be that you're just going to walk up and open a door or say hello to somebody. You're going to physically help them. Someone's going to come up to you, David, and say, hey, you know, you're out on your truck route, and someone walks up to you and says, hey, excuse me, sir, but I'm lost. I can't find my way. Can you help me find my way? It's at that point, again, when you will use your free will to decide whether or not you're going to help them. And if you do, you tell them, oh, hey, you know, this is how you get there, and you go down this road, and they go, thank you very much. And you know, at the end of that, when they walk away, and you know when you've helped someone, you know how good it feels, because it's real,
Right.
because it's what you're supposed to do. Or you could be one of those people who's a big piece of shit and doesn't like anybody and thinks everybody goes screw themselves, and you tell them, no, just get away from me. I got shit to do.
Right.
Right. And then when you do that, using your ego all the time, using your free will too much about yourself, guess who's coming back?
Right.
You are. And you will report back, and they'll tell you, well, you know, there's these couple times you were supposed to try to help somebody, and you just blew them off. Well, and you were supposed to help people. Yeah, I know, but I was so wrapped up in myself. Well, you're going to be wrapped up a little bit more because you have to go back. But at that point, being a loving white soul again, you know, cool. I get to go back to Earth and do all these like physical things that I can't really do here. This is going to be cool. But every time you come back, you're walking into the unknown. I mean, we all walk into the unknown every day. We all walk around thinking, I'm going to make plans. I'm going on vacation in 6 months. You don't know if 6 months from now you're going to fucking die.
Right.
Because you might. Your whole entire life, you're walking into the unknown. You don't know what's exactly going to happen. You make plans, and sometimes they work out, but sometimes they don't. So everything is the unknown. So, yeah, you don't know if you're coming back into this world or what's going to be here. You, David, been here 26 other times, meaning you have probably been here many times that this place didn't have running water or electricity.
Right.
So when you come into that, you're just taking a chance of, I'll get to do cool stuff. Maybe you will get to do cool stuff. And maybe that's part of learning your lessons, because you had to learn harder lessons because of this last time you screwed it up. So That might be a part of it, or it may not. You as a soul get to choose the body you come into. Believe me, those souls are lining up to get into bodies of what kind of bodies we call being handicapped. Why? Because the lessons they're going to learn and the purpose they're going to fulfill is being who they are, because they're teaching everyone else around them about themselves, having to deal with that person. Because those bodies, when they pass away, that soul never has to come back again. It's all about a choice. And everybody has a choice, but you have choices here too. It just depends if you're going to follow the correct path or the alternative path. And if you choose to stay on the alternative path, I'll mention a few names, like Donald Trump or our president, Joe, or like Kanye and his wife with the extremely large butt. Those people, I can guarantee you, as of right now, are coming back.
Yeah.
Hitler. There's another one. Hitler. Did Hitler go to hell? No, there's no such place as hell. No. I see into the realm of the earthbound spirit. There's no man. I mean, there are different beings there as well. They're not just human, but there's no one there with horns walking around with a tail and torturing anybody. That's brought to you by people we call religion. Because they want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. How did they know about 10% back then? Because it was kings and queens who wrote the Bible. Yeah. It was not just somebody who was talking to God. Because apparently, if you're talking to God or talking to spirit, in the Bible, I think on page 6 or 7, it says you're a medium. And mediums are not allowed, you're not allowed to talk to mediums. So who was the special person who was in religion that was actually allowed to talk to spirit and God? It's nobody. You know why? Because they're bullshit. Because they wrote that book in order to have power and control over you. That's all. What kind of questions you guys got?
I've said that for a long time.
Absolutely.
I have, yeah. I mean.
Well, I'm still researching.
Are you
stuff.
on the fence?
I'm not on the fence.
Kind of.
I'm still.
There's a big toe over there.
I don't know. I'm just confused.
You know why? Because the world wants you to stay confused. So you don't realize, again, how much power and control over you have over yourself, because they don't want you to know that. Because here's what they want you to do. They want to tell you that you're crazy. Mm-hmm. And then you think to yourself, I'm crazy. And the only way I can fix myself is if I go to one of their doctors. What's that doctor going to do? He's going to prescribe you medicine that's going to keep you under control, sort of.
Compliant.
And if you run out of that medicine, what happens? You start feeling the crazy that they tell you are. Or he's going to sit down and have you talk about it and talk you through it. You know what you could do? You could sit down and talk yourself through it. And you don't have to go to one of these doctors. And you don't have to pay them exorbitant amounts of money.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any of that. It's like alcoholism. They say it's a disease now. I have diabetes. People have heart disease. Mm-hmm. That's a disease. Okay? Alcoholism is a choice. You choose to put that alcohol in your mouth. You choose to take drugs. Okay? Yeah. I don't choose to have my kidneys stop functioning, because if I do, I'm out of here. But, so I have to take care of myself.
Right.
With alcoholism, Dave, you could be an alcoholic, and I could say, David, you know what? I will help you. I will take you to classes. I'll take you to AA. I'll do whatever. I'll try to keep you away from alcohol, although there's bars and liquor stores everywhere, so it's kind of hard to do, especially at the strip clubs. But, but here's the deal. No matter what I say, no matter what I tell you I'm going to contribute, it all comes down to a choice that you have to make. And that choice is, if you choose to stop drinking. You may choose to not stop drinking. So no matter what I say or do isn't going to help you. It's based upon Your life is based upon choices that you're going to make. 2 choices throughout your entire life. And those 2 choices are, does this work for me? Or does this not work for me? And that's your lessons that you're here to learn. And a lot of people, those lessons that you're learning, if you walk through a door and there's a nail on the floor and you walk through it and you trip over it, what is the lesson to learn? Go get a hammer, nail it back in, and then walk through freely the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Or be one of those people who continues to trip over that nail 4 or 5 times. Because there are people in this world who don't learn lessons very well. Yeah. And they trip over the nail all the time. And they never learn how to do it. They keep getting in relationships that don't work. Well, stop dating the same type of person. Think outside the box. Right? If you keep going out with a shitty guy or a shitty girl, then whose fault is that? That is your choice that you made just because she's got blonde hair and really big boobs. Now, I can understand that, but if she keeps treating you like crap all the time, and every time you go out with one who does that, you have 2 choices to make. That choice that says I have to stop and try to find someone else, which means I got to stop going to the strip bars, or I gotta find somebody who works for me, who is wonderful for me, and helps me out through this life. That's all. Yeah. That's all it comes down to. And people just can't seem to get out of that. But the reason they can't is because the narrative out there is the world doesn't want you to get out of that. Because the more that you do all that stuff, the more that it makes money for this world. Right. Because that's the true evil of this world. The only way we're going to get rid of all the power and control in this world is get rid of money.
Right. Yeah. That would be something. But
it would be. But do you know what I mean by that? What I mean by that is, what's your favorite car, Jason?
Well, I love Hummers.
Okay, so if you could go out and have a Hummer, and I could have a Hummer, and everybody in this face of this world could have a Hummer, and then we could all put all the doodads on there to make that Hummer look really cool, because a lot of people go out and get a Hummer because they think it's going to make them a cooler person or better than someone else or show off to someone else. But if we could all have that and have all the doodads on there to make it look cool, what would be the point of having one? You would, because the only other reason is you wanted to take one for a drive. So what if you could just have one and we could all have one and it wouldn't cost anything? Then, our wants and needs may change at that point. You could still go out and get one if you want to take for a ride. Yeah. But you don't have to pay for it because our wants and needs have changed at that point. Doctors could be doctors just to be doctors to heal people. We can have people out there still doing jobs, but we can have everything for free. We could share everything in this world. That's why Jesus was here. Jesus came here to let us know we could all share everything in this world together, take care of each other, not have to pay for anything, and never be under control and power of the people who want to have us under their control and power. We could take care of each other. But the problem was the people who saw him doing that, religion, scooped him up, put him on a cross, tortured the shit out of him, and then murdered him in front of everybody to let them know that if you do what he's doing, if you follow what he says, we're going to do this to you too. That's why they want you to wear a cross around your neck. The cross is a form of punishment. Why do you want to wear a form of punishment around your neck? And the reason they want you to have it around your neck is not to remind you of what Jesus did for you, because in their eyes, they didn't want you doing what Jesus was doing for you. What they want is they want to keep power and control over you. So they want you to wear that cross around that neck so they can remind you that if you follow or do what Jesus really wanted you to do, we're going to do it to you too. Everyone you see out there, someone's got a freaking cross around their neck, and they don't even realize it. It's a power and control that religion has over them.
I wear a Thor's hammer.
Hell, that's awesome.
I wear a bunch of hair around mine.
Yeah, I got a Thor's.
Yeah, so do I, because I got a hairy back.
Yeah, I got hair everywhere except the top of my head.
Do you?
Yeah.
You're like a reverse Bigfoot.
He's a balding Bigfoot.
Yeah, ain't that some shit, right?
And I'm the
You would
opposite.
definitely
I've
get
got
some
hair down,
pictures of
hair down to my waist.
Yeah,
Wow.
David's over here. He's about half Cherokee Indian, got hair down to his crack, and I ain't got a bit of hair.
Every 3 months, I got to get my wife to shave my back because I'm in the food chain. I'm like only second generation in my family to stand up straight.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
Sorry, I got you.
No, that's good. I love it. Was there
So
a
what
question?
kind of questions you got, Jason? Because I know you're still a little bit like, I don't know.
Hey, ask them, Jason. Don't be afraid.
I ain't afraid.
Don't be shy, like I said.
I don't want to, cross the line or anything.
There's no line to cross. I mean, I just talked about Jesus and why they killed him. So I don't think there's a line to cross here because they want you, again, the narrative, the power and control want you to believe that there's a line that you're not allowed to cross. You're a human being. You came here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. You can say anything you want to. You know what I always tell people? I don't apologize to anyone for me being me. Because if I'm around you and you get offended by something I say, then what's going to happen next is you're going to leave. And that means I don't have to deal with you anymore. So I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been on my mind quite a bit recently.
Sure.
How can I put this?
Put it however you want to. We just talked about Uranus. We're okay.
I believe in multi-dimensions, multi-universes.
Absolutely.
Multi-universes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, there are.
And can we travel to those? I mean, like, can we be...
We ourselves cannot. No, we
incarnate into a different universe?
No, not until you are finished here. If you want to do that after you are finished here, yes. But can you do that now? No, because your body is not meant to be in a different dimension than it is now. It wouldn't be able to function.
Right.
Like if you guys want to talk about, I'm sure you've heard of this being in the paranormal, the Hat Man.
Oh yeah.
I see the Hat Man on a frequent basis, all the time. When I first found out that I was a medium, before that, it was like 6 months before that, right before my 50th birthday, I was seeing all kinds of stuff in my house. Everything that you can imagine, you could ever think of that you would ever see in a scary movie, I saw it in my house for 2 weeks. My wife went away on vacation to see her daughter because I've seen spirit my entire life. I just didn't know why. And I saw it on a frequent basis. I just got used to it. It's kind of like when you're kids and your mom and dad feed you green beans, and then 30 years later, you like green beans because you got used to it. And I got used to it. I saw all kinds of stuff. But then right when she went on vacation, because every house that I went to, I thought was haunted. It wasn't the house. It was me. And every house, stuff was going on. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't just the houses. I'd be driving down the street in my car and get a chill up my spine. I turn around and look, and there's a freaking graveyard. Because I'm what people call sensitive to that. But it's more than that now that I know. But yeah, so they are everywhere. And so when I saw them in my house for 2 weeks, I saw the Hat Man. I was down in the basement with my cat, the one who didn't make the trip very well. And he looked at me. He looked to his right. I looked to my left. I saw a wall of blackness appear. I saw a man walk out of it. He had on a wide rim black hat. He had a long black coat on. Couldn't see his eyes, but I could see his facial features, his nose, his chin. He walked out of that wall, walked all the way across the room. What was interesting about that is he didn't have any feet, but he was walking in perfect stride. He walked all the way across the room and then went through the wall. And then I turned back to look at my cat. And when I did, the wall that blackness wall just disappeared. And I looked at my cat. And when I watched him, though, I didn't go, oh, my God. I just sat there and, followed him with my eyes, what the hell is that? And then he went through the wall, and that was it. the thing about him is he's not in spirit. And the thing about spirit is where they are, there's no time and space. So they're not walking through walls. They're just walking. They don't really see walls. Just like when they see you, they don't see you like you think they do. They see your body frame and they see your light inside of you, which is your soul. That's how they see you. But yeah, he just walked through the wall and I was like, okay. And then I got my cat. We went upstairs. And but since then, I've seen him on a regular basis. Now I'm going to tell you why he comes here.
Yeah, that's
this
what
is the big one.
I was going to ask you, what does he want?
This is what everybody wants to know. Why does he come here? Because he comes from a dimension that they are not able to speak with spirit. And they come through into this dimension to find out why we can't. They want to know the secret. You ready for the secret? There is no secret. Because in our dimension, we are in a learning place. We are on a learning planet. And in order to learn, sometimes like when you go to school, you need a help. You need a teacher. And those who have this ability are the teachers. We're here to help you. So he comes through to see that. He wants to find out how we are able to do this. And I've talked to him about it. And he knows the answer. But he still has to keep coming back. Because in the realm that he's from, he's being paid to come back here and watch. He watches me all the time. And I always see him. But every time I see him now, he wears that long coat and a fedora. And I see him and he looks at me. I say, hey, man, how's it going? And he tips his hat at me. I say, you back again? And he says, yeah. And I said, you know, you're not going to get the answer. He said, I know, but they keep paying me, so I keep coming back. Because the answer is it comes through with your soul. Everyone has it, just not everyone's meant to keep it. There are those of us who are meant to be teachers and others who are just meant to be students. That's why he keeps coming back here, to try to find some little niche that he can pick up on, that he could report back to his people to let them know this is how they do it. But he can't, because it just comes through with your soul. It's not, you can't go to college. You can't take a class to become a medium. You either have it or you don't. The only thing what would happen there is you're either woken up to know that you have it, or not everybody does. That's the thing. But that's why he keeps coming back. He's not this evil person. He's basically an investigator, like a PI, and he's trying to find out why we are able to do this. But you know, we have people here on this earth who are also trying to find out why I'm able to do this. Just the military wants to do that. They want to militarize it, so they could use, you know.
Yeah.
Especially where I live right now.
Yeah, they used to do the astral projection, and they had some unit that was training for that. I know that.
I live in Sierra Vista, Arizona. You know what's in this city? A army base called Fort Huachuca. Do you know what's in Fort Huachuca? You know what they do there?
Mm-mm.
It's the largest intelligence base for the United States, and it's right here in this town here. You know what they used to do here back in the 60s and 70s? Experiments on psychic mediums. You know why I'm here in Arizona? Because I received a channeled message 4 years ago from Spirit, from not just the channeled message that I did, but other people. I was at a class one time, and I was for mediumship to develop my abilities more. Now that's something you can do, but everybody there was that, and I had to do this experiment type thing where I had to sit across from this woman and try to project something from my mind to her mind, and then she would pick up on it and say it to me. But I had to do it with this woman who I didn't know, and we were sitting across from each other, and I said, "You're going to love this." So I didn't know her, and she didn't know me. We sat across, and I said, "Are we supposed to hold hands or something?" She said, "I don't know. I think so. Let's try that." I said, "Okay." So my wife was in the room, and then other people were there. They were all doing the same thing. And then the teacher said, "Go ahead, just project something out." So I held her hands, and I tried to project something about my father who passed away. And then the lady started speaking. And what she did at that point was tell me all about me from the very beginning when I was a kid up until now. And I'm sitting there going, what? She's talking to me as I'm holding her hands. And then she said, yeah, and then it's going to come to the point very soon, about 4 years from now, Daniel, you're going to leave here and you're going to go out west. As of now, where we want you to go to New Mexico. But I got a message again about a year ago. They switched it and they said Arizona because of the way things have changed. Because they follow what everything changes because of everyone's free will, things change. So you're going to go out there, and it's going to come to a point when people are at that point when everything does go horrible. People are going to come to you, and they're going to bring you things because money's going to be gone at that point, and they will bring you things. And like chickens and all kinds of food and stuff like that, so you can survive. And I was like, okay. I said, by the way, I have a question. He said, go ahead. What would you like to ask? And when this lady's speaking to me, it's not her voice. It's not her words. I mean, this was very strange. And I said, who is it speaking to me? And he said, oh, it's me, your brother, Jesus. And I was like, I said, brother. He said, yeah. He said, we're all related, Daniel. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then he said, you'll go out there and people will come to you for answers. It'll be a guided message. You'll be talking to angels very soon anyway. And but you'll be doing that. You'll see them. They'll give you the answers, and you'll give answers to people. But you have to let them believe that it's actually coming from you and not from angels, because at that point, people are going to look towards spiritual advisors more than they are religion and government, because that is going to go away. And I was like, okay. And he said, so is there any other questions you have? And I said, no, I think I'm okay. And then when we stopped, he said, goodbye, Daniel. I love you. And I said, I love you too. And then he left. And then the girl, she just started crying. She's like, I wasn't even there. It was weird. It's like they put me in another room, like a white light room. And I saw Jesus Christ standing there and like a couple other, I guess you would call them angels, standing around him. And I said, yeah. I said, but he also said there was a part where that he was going to combine himself. And I said, with who? He said, with the other one. I said, who's that? He said, you, because you wear the crown of thorns. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? He said, it just means what it means. I said, okay. But after that, yeah. So right after that, the teacher's standing right behind me. And he says, what the fuck's going on here? And I said, well, I think I'm having a talk with Jesus Christ. And he said, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be trying to put thoughts in her mind. I said, well, I said, how am I supposed to control that? If Jesus Christ wants to come through and talk to me, I guess he's going to, because I'm allowed to talk to him whenever I want to. I don't have to go to church for that, right? He's like, and he got all pissed off. He said, you're not supposed to be doing that. But what I also noticed is everybody else in the class had stopped what they were doing, and they all had their mouths open like, holy shit. And this teacher is getting mad at me because I'm talking to Jesus. But what happened, what transpired after that is I ended up meeting some women who put this group together. We're all mediums, and it was like 5 other women plus me. And then my wife came into it later because she's an empath. And I ended up channeling with every one of them, and every one of them told me the same thing, that I'm going to be moving out west. But then about a year ago, this is why I'm out here. So a year ago, I'm able to channel with my wife as well. We got a message that they changed it. They want us to come out to Arizona. And I said, where in Arizona? And they said, we will guide you. And I said, okay. So what my wife and I did, because I get yes and no answers touched on my face for yes and no answers. I get one answer, it feels like a tear running down my face. And then I get touched on my forehead, all over my forehead. by other, what we refer to as archangels. They're not men with wings. They don't have swords. They don't have badges, shields, and they're not fighting a war in heaven because we believe that all bad spirits or demons or like that are in hell. So who would they be fighting in heaven with if there's nobody bad there? Nobody, because it's bullshit. So anyway, they came through, and my wife and I did that channeling message, and then what we did is we put a map down in front of us, and I closed my eyes and I pointed my finger to places in Arizona. And when I kept getting no, and I put my finger on a spot, and they said yes, and it was Sierra Vista. Now, why did they put me here in Sierra Vista, right next to an Army base? That is the intelligence base, the biggest one in the United States, and they used to do experiments on psychic mediums.
That's
a good question. Why would they do that?
You should know the answer to that, right?
No, because it's something I need to learn.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm going to find out eventually. But I do know one thing. I'm being followed.
Our government's good at that.
Yes. I mean, like I said, we got here like 2 months ago, and then all of a sudden I got sick. And I'm perfectly healthy.
Yeah. That's a big coincidence.
Yeah. But
you're supposed to get healthier when you move out west to like Arizona, where it's really nice and dry.
Right. And in a month's time, I got the, so this is going to be interesting for your show. You're going to like this part. So my wife and I, because I got so sick, she took me to the hospital. I have a temperature of 102.4. We get to the hospital. You're going to love this. Get to the hospital, and the nurse says, I think you got COVID. And I said, I don't think so. I had the flu once before, and it feels like that. She said, no. I said, well, I have no shortness of breath. I'm able to keep my food down. I have some muscle fatigue, and I just don't feel good. And I got a temperature. She said, yeah, I think that's COVID. I said, I don't think so. So a nurse practitioner comes in. She has me tell her all the symptoms. They do some tests, and she says, I think you got the flu. She said, it sounds like COVID, but I think you got the flu. But we got to do a test on you anyway. I said, okay. So they do the test on me, the swab. Now, I've had that swab before because I had to get an operation back last January. When they did it this time, it's like they just stuck it in my nose a little bit. So she comes back with this. They tell me to stay out in the hallway for like an hour, sit out there waiting for them, next to some guy whose appendix was about to burst. And that was interesting. But she comes back. She kneels down in front of me. She says, okay, Mr. Jackson, here's your paper. And the paper says you have COVID. I said, okay. She said, but I don't know what it is, Mr. Jackson. I said, I feel drawn to tell you the truth because I can't hold it back. So she comes in and whispers in on me. She says, I just got to tell you, you don't have COVID. You got the flu. But the reason I can't tell you that with the paper is because we're not allowed to test for anything but COVID. And I said, okay. So what do I do at this point? She said, I'm just going to give you a Z-Pack medicine that you can go pick up at Walmart. Go home. And you'll be okay in a few weeks. But I'm telling you, you don't have the flu. She said, but I just feel like I'm drawn to tell you that. And then I reached out my hand and I said, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Spirit Medium Daniel. And she looked at me and she went, ah. And then she smiled and she said, yeah, you can go home. I said, okay, and I will. And that's what I did. But I got so sick, so bad, within a month's time, I lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a terrible type of sick right there.
Right. Yeah, but when she told me that they're not allowed to test for the flu and just COVID, I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah. Well, we'd done some shows on that early on in the COVID and talked about. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like what I call bullshit. Yeah. Well, they have an objective, and
absolutely control and power.
That, and also, I honestly believe that they want to They want to whittle down the human race to a lot lower numbers.
Yes.
And
But I was also told that in a channeled message years ago. The same thing, but for a different reason. And that reason being, in order for the world to move forward, there needs to be less of us. Meaning, the negative energies need to go away. And there's only one way you can truly go away. You'll die. But that's okay, because I know where they're all going. Most of them. Some of them choose just to stay here. But yeah, that's it. And then the positive people can move forward.
Well, the Georgia Guidestones, the Georgia Guidestones tell us that they want the world down to 500 million. So that's not even about a 12th of the population that is on this planet today.
Absolutely. And they will be all positive people who want to move forward, who want to share everything and take care of each other, and not be about, you having to have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, and I want you to go out and work your ass off for it too, but you're only going to get crumbs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Daniel, we're going to take a quick break, if that's okay.
Sure. I could pee.
Get paid by the hour, right?
Yeah, no.
Remember, we're talking with Daniel Jackson. That's my accent kicking in.
Jackson. There you go.
We're here with old Daniel Jackson. We're talking about some spirit medium stuff. And this is Jason here. Hee-haw. We'll be back after these messages.
That's funny.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.
This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab. In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs.
Guess what, y'all? We back.
We're back.
Yeah,
We're back.
yeah, from that quick little break.
And this is Catalyst. This is a song called Justified. And again, we want to thank them for allowing us to use their music. And you're listening to Paranormal 411. Remember, you could also visit us at paranormal411.org. We're also live on Spreaker and on Podbean, but you could also come over to our website at paranormal411.org into the live show and chat room and chat with us there. If you want to chat with us in that chat room, though, you do need to sign up and become a member of the website. Now, it's free. It doesn't cost nothing, right, Jason? Free.
Yeah, we don't like to charge for that.
Nope. It's just something we could do to help keep a little bit of that spam down by making people have to sign up before they can mess around in the chat room there. We are talking with spirit medium Daniel Jackson that we're bringing right back on. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, that's what they say over there at the brothel when you catch like a disease. They say, "Oh, we don't like to charge for that."
Right? It's free. Hey, you
It's
could,
totally free.
Yeah, you get an extra. That's what you're getting.
hey, they should have
Part
to
of the
pay
experience.
extra for that, right? That's an extra.
Right.
That's an extra charge.
That's part of the experience right there.
I'm sure they pay for it at the doctor
Oh, I'm sure.
with a hammer and a.
Yeah, they get out that little rubber hammer and
Oh
break
my
that shit
goodness! Yes.
No
free. No
thanks.
thanks.
No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
I'll do without.
As a soul that came back, just another lesson to learn. That's all.
I'm hoping that was one I never learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And the thing about that is, as I tell everybody, there's no mistakes. There's no right and wrong. There's no epic failures. There's only what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, we're fucking doing it. That's all. But people can't grasp that. That's all. Yeah, that's all. You're just learning things. Everything you do, you're learning something. And when it's time for you to stop learning, you're just checking out.
That's
Right.
it. Seeing if you have to come back or not.
Yeah, because everyone's here. There's no real time here either. The only reason we deal with time here is because your body has to take a break, which is called sleep. And two, but you're not really doing anything because you're still just continuing on in a sleep mode. So, and then the other part of that is the sunrise and the sunset. That's all. And the only reason we follow that is because of the work week. That's it. Otherwise, you're just here. And you are here for, sometimes we're here for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, 50 years. You're here for as long as you're supposed to be here. And the thing with that is, there are 2 rules in this world. As long as you follow these rules, comprehend them, you'll be okay. Rule number 1 is, people die every day. And rule number 2 is, you can't change rule number 1. It's pretty simple.
Yep. We all gotta die.
When it's your time to go, it just is. No one dies unexpectedly. No one dies suddenly. We all just die.
So what do you
That's
make?
it.
What do you make of the pregnancy deaths, like
Abortion.
newborn?
Oh, and like what brings us to death?
Or are you talking about like
What?
stillborn?
No, I'm talking about you're born and then you pass away right after.
Yeah, you're just-
born.
Oh, so again, the soul comes in to learn something. It learns something. It's gone. That's it.
So could there
Just like
be?
I will bring up another point that not a lot of people will talk about. I will talk about. So if you want to talk about crossing the line, I'm about to cross the line.
Woohoo!
And that line is, why do we have stillborn babies?
Right.
Why are they born dead? Because they have no soul. That's it. The soul sees, because the soul does not stay in your body. The soul does not come into the body until about until the time when the body's about to be born. But when that soul sees that body's not going to make it, it leaves, and then that's it. It's not something bad. It's just the soul said it's not going to be able to make it. So there's no reason for me to go. Because in order for you to leave here, the reason you're leaving at all is because the soul is being called home. That's it. And when it's time to go, it will go. Here's another line I'm about to cross. We call it, oh, that's funny. I just picked up on it the second time. I thought it was maybe this little jingle thing, something there. Somebody hit the wrong button. But we call it suicide. But I'm going to explain suicide to you, and then you're going to understand it. And from that point on, you're going to go, So, suicide. Why? Because the soul took over. Because the soul knows it's time to go home. So what it will do is will make the body do something in order for that body to leave. Because it may be in a healthy body. I mean, I know you, Jason, you're into music, and I'm sure you like him just as much as I do. But Chris Cornell, went and played a concert, got back to his hotel, hung himself. Because his soul knew it was time to go, and the soul took over and made the body do something in order for that body to pass away so the soul could be released. Now, here's how I'm going to explain it. When the soul takes over and does something to make the body do something, it could be different things, but we don't only see it as suicide in one way. But if the soul wakes up one morning with the body and says, hey, you know what? It's time to go to the mall today. We need to go to the mall. So the body goes, I think I'm going to go to the mall today. And then the body gets into a car and goes on its way towards the mall and gets into a car crash and dies. So if the soul took over that time too, but nobody calls it suicide because it happened a different way, because people want to put a blame on something. They want to play the blame game and they want to have a reason why someone died. You see it all the time when stars who die, and then they go, oh, and now they're going to do an autopsy to find out the actual cause of death. The cause of death was because it was your time to go. And that's it. You're here for as long as you're supposed to be here, and when it's not, and you're not supposed to be here any longer, you go. That's why you hear about people who just are out walking and suddenly again, drop dead. No, they just died. That's all. Now that's going to make you think, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what else will make you think? Here, I got something that'll make you think. When I worked in prison, they used to have these different sayings. And one of the sayings was, it smells like fear and peanut butter in here. And I'll tell you why. Because in prison, when you go down to the commissary, you could buy yourself some peanut butter. And then what they would do is that they would open that peanut butter up, and then they would use that oil on top for lube. That's going to make you think the next time you go to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, won't it?
Yeah, buddy.
Just in a different way. You're going to look at it and go, oh, shit, Daniel told me about they're using lube from the oil peanut butter to have sex with, and now I can't eat this sandwich. Fuck, I got to pick something else on the machine.
Man, that just ruined my peanut butter
Sorry.
and cracker.
Sorry, yes. I hope you enjoy those peanut butter and cheese crackers because they're awesome.
Well, I'm a pretty big guy. I don't really bother me that much. But.
Yeah. If you get a little bit of the peanut butter on you, now you know not to wipe it on your shirt. Just go wipe it back there at Uranus.
And don't lick your fingers.
Right.
So
you know why I talk about a lot of that stuff? Here's why I talk about a lot of that stuff and why I say what I say. The reason why. Because God did not create words. God gave us an ability to make sound. Man created words. So we can say any word that you want to that begins with the letter F that doesn't sound like fire truck, and he doesn't give a shit. What he doesn't want us to do is put negative energy on somebody. So I said, David, you could call me an asshole all day long. Or you could say the word asshole all day long, and that's not a big deal. But if you're calling me an asshole all day long, then you're just putting negative energy on me. And that's what he doesn't want us to do. Right. He wants us to be kind to each other. But yeah, you can say asshole all day long if you want to. It don't make a difference because it's a made up word. We just connected it to something. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
Because we got many languages on this earth. Everybody's got their interpretation for what an asshole is.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
Just like you know what else they have on this earth? Many different religions. Let me ask you. Which one's right?
Well,
you know which one's right?
Of them.
Right, because they're all created by man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just as all those words are that are created by man too. It's just they said it's their interpretation of what God told them. But that interpretation allows them to have control and power over everybody. You think God told them that?
Yeah, why do you think I got a tattoo that says heathen on it?
Right.
Hey, I was telling you, David rides a bike too. He got him a big old Harley.
Yeah, I've got a 17 Street Glide.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Awesome. I have a 2012 Fat Boy Low, and then since moving out here, I just bought a 2009 Lowrider.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It came in a special color too. It's a limited edition. They only did it for like 3 months. It's a two-tone root beer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty, but I haven't been able to ride it yet because I've been sick as shit. That's why.
When I get money like you guys, I'm gonna get me a big wheel bagger.
Are you?
Yep.
You got to get one of those big wheels.
Yep.
You got to have the big wheel in the front. Yep. I used to have a big wheel too back when I was 7.
Green machine or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I play with big boy toys, not fake little toys, Yeah, I don't do that shit.
I'm going to be, what do they call them trucks now? Where they jack the front way up.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Squatted. Yeah, I'm going to be.
Squatted, yeah. Yeah, I was doing squatted earlier before I had this call, but that was different.
Oh, Lord.
And it had to do with Uranus, but not yours, mine. So, yeah.
Jason?
I hope you got all the peanut butter off of it.
Oh, I did. It took a few more sheets of toilet paper, but I was okay.
Oh, Lord.
That's funny. So, Daniel, when did you really start realizing that you had this gift?
Like I said, I've seen spirit ever since I was young, like 3 years old. I lived in a house in New Jersey, and it was right next to a battlefield where the Hessians fought, and they had this little hospital on there. I've seen things like ashtrays go across the room or right off the table. I remember once when my sister and my mom were in the bathroom getting my sister ready for school, and they looked in this full-length mirror on the door, and there was another woman standing in the mirror in a colonial outfit. I remember when I was a kid, my brothers and I were watching TV and downstairs, and my my sister's room was upstairs, and her record player turned on. And I see, back in those days, I was in the 70s, because I'm 55. And back in those days, with the record player, you had to pick the record up and put it on that little post, and then you hit the switch, and it would drop down, and it would play your record. The thing about that was, it wasn't just playing records; it was switching records. So whatever was up there, it was taking the record off and putting another record on and playing records. My one brother sent me and my other brother upstairs to go turn it off. I remember I had a friend of mine over from school because he heard about this because it gets around town. We lived in a town that was a square mile. So he came over because he wanted to witness something. And then we were sitting there eating some sandwiches in the kitchen. And then the stereo system just turned on. And then he got a white look on his face and ran out of the house and never come back. But he always did have a story every time I was around him. Oh, man, I was over his house and his stereo player turned on. And I said, yeah, and he shit himself and left. So, yeah, but I've seen them my entire life there. My brother owned that house later on. he had some friends come over to the house and knocking on the door. There was a big picture window, and they kept knocking on the door. Nobody was answered. They look, and they see people walking around the house. So they called my brother on the phone, and when my brother answered, he said, "I'm not home. I'm at a campground." So who the hell was walking around in the house?
Huh.
So, but we had left at that point and came down to Delaware, my mom and dad and I was 17, and I continued to see things. They didn't. There was a point, like, I was in a band at one time. I used to play the drums for like 23 years until diabetes took over that mess. But I came home from a gig, and I laid in bed. I was around 23 when this happened, and when I laid down, something laid down next to me. The pillow squished down, and it did it like 4 or 5 times. And then that last time, I sat up to take a look to see what was around me. And when I did, whatever was there picked up the blanket that I had on top of me and brought it up to the ceiling and shook it above me, and then it dropped it on me. And then after that, fellas, I slept on the couch for 2 years because fuck that shit. So, but I was always seeing stuff. My girlfriend was there with me one time in my 20s, and we were watching TV, and she was at the foot of the bed, and I was at the other end. We were watching Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then this big white cloudy thing, real thick, like maybe 3-4 feet long, about 2 feet thick, snaked its way out of my closet across the room, and then it got across the room, and then it just disappeared. And my wife turned around, or my girlfriend, she said, "Did you see that?" I said, "Yeah, I saw that." I said, "Let's get the fuck out of here." That was crazy. I was in my grandfather's room one time because he was living with us, and he went away to visit with my uncle. And my sister was there. She had this little pet with her called a ferret. What a pain. That thing bit me in the balls one time. Fuck that thing. So, yeah, that piece of shit. So that thing was a future sock. That's what that was. But I was laying in the bed because I was looking at pictures of my grandmother because she had passed away a couple of years before that. And I kept hearing this noise, a squeaking noise. And I kept saying to this little rat thing, I said his name was Pia, pain in the ass, that's what it stood for. And I said, "Pia, knock it off, knock it off." I probably did it 3 or 4 times. And then I finally sat up out of bed to look. And when I did, my grandfather's rocking chair was rocking back and forth, and my grandmother was in it.
Wow.
And she was rocking back. And then she turned around and looked at me, and I looked at her because I was staring at her. She looked at me, got the surprised look, and then she just disappeared, was gone. And so I had seen things in that house like crazy, but then I moved out because I met this woman, my first wife, and I started seeing things at that house that we lived in. And then we had a house built later on her father's property because he owned this huge farm. He gave us like 3 acres. And then I started seeing shit on that one. And then eventually that marriage didn't work out because they were super religious. They like to go to church like 4 or 5 days a week. And wanted me to convert because they said being a Catholic, I was wrong. And I said, yeah, whatever. So I was out of there and then came back home and lived with my mom back to that other house and was seeing more stuff there. Just seeing all kinds of stuff. But, like I said, when we're kids and your mom and dad gives you those green beans, you get used to it. So I did. I got used to it. It was just a part of my life. But it wasn't until right before my 50th birthday that's when all hell broke loose, and I saw all that stuff. I was seeing, like, laying in bed, I saw, when my wife was gone, I saw a cloud form out of the corner of the room. It came through in blue, yellow, green, orange, red, gray, and then gray with black stripes, yellow with black stripes, red with black stripes, orange with black stripes, green with black stripes. I was like, what the hell is this thing? I saw a cloud form above the bed, and then it opened up to like this window of blackness, and then I saw these 2 skeleton arms come out of the hole and then pull the skeleton body out. The weird part was, not that wasn't weird enough, but the weird part was it didn't have any hands. That was strange. But it pulled the head out and was looking around the room at me, and then it was looking at me like it couldn't believe it was seeing me. It was kind of weird. And then it moved over top of me and then to the back wall, and then it disappeared. I was seeing 7-foot skeletons walking around the room. I was in bed one time, and I don't like to be late for work, and I rolled over to check the clock, and when I did, there was a girl who was kneeling next to my bed with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a blue and white dress on, and these little tiny socks on her feet.
Mm.
And her name is Wendy. So found that out later. So when my wife came back from vacation, she told me about all her adventures in California, and then I told her all about mine. That's when I saw the Hat Man and all that stuff. And she thought because I'm diabetic, it was some type of psychosis with my medicine. But 3 days later, she started seeing some of the same things. So we researched everything online, looking for answers, couldn't find any. I reached out to paranormal groups. I had a paranormal group come to the house. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I mean, I thought the other stuff was crazy, but this is crazy. So they come to the house. They got this girl who's taking pictures. They got this other guy who's just observing. They got another guy who's doing video. And then this leader of the team who's asking questions. And they come in the house and they explain everything. They got all these instruments. They have these little boxes with lights on them, these little square boxes, lights and an antenna sticking out of it. And I said, what's that? And he said, when spirit goes past these, it'll set these off. They set off. It's from like a static electricity. I said, oh, how's that work? And he put his hand on my couch and rubbed it on there and waved his hand over the box, and it lit up. It went blue. I was like, oh, okay. So they set those around the doorways of all the rooms. And so they said, where do you got a lot of this stuff going on? I said, well, I was in the bedroom. So I said, all right, let's go in there. So I walked through. And when I walked through, every one of those boxes goes blue. And I turn around and I look at those guys and this woman, and I was like, what the hell? And they're looking at me with their mouths open like, what's going on? They said, did you hit the chair or anything? I said, what would one little swipe do? No, I didn't hit the chair. They walk into the room, nothing. We go in the bedroom. They're asking me questions. Video guy says, I feel drawn to go into the closet because it's a big walk-in closet. I said, well, yeah, let's go in there. I said, I've had stuff going on in there. We walk in. We're in there about a minute. He gets sick, feels like he's going to throw up. He walks out. He gets back into the bedroom. He's perfectly fine. He said, let me try that again. He comes back in, got sick again. Went right back out. We walk out of there. I said, all right, well, we have stuff going on in this room, in the living room. Let's go out there. I walk out through the door. They all light up again. I turn around and look at them. They look at me. They walk through. Nothing. And my wife is with them, too. We go in the living room, and the girl starts taking pictures of me. Pictures of me and the other team members walking around. Every picture she took of me, she took 26 pictures. She took pictures of me. And with me, there's like 15, 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. She takes pictures of the team members. Nothing. If I'm standing next to a team member, 15, 20 light orbs. We're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Because I said, what are you doing over there? She said, oh, just taking pictures. Because she was showing this other guy. She's like, man, you got to see this. And I said, what's going on? She's like, taking pictures, but we're not supposed to tell you until the big reveal. But you got to see this, Mr. Jackson. I've never seen this before. And there's all these light orbs completely surrounding me. I was like, what's going on with that? She said, I don't know. She said, I've seen one or two, but not that many. And I was like, all right. And this happened to be a theme for the whole night. So we go down in the basement. We're walking around. There's noises going upstairs. Nobody's upstairs. We're walking around, and I'm standing there talking to this one guy. And on the floor, leaning up against the wall, is this big picture mirror, a huge mirror. It came with the house. So we just left it there because we were pretty new into this house. And I'm standing there talking to him. I walk away, and he looks at me and says, can you go back over here? I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, stand right in front of this mirror again. I said, why? He said, I got to show you something. I said, all right, I do that. And he said, now just turn your head around and look backwards. I said, all right. I look back, and the mirror is vibrating. He said, now walk away again. I walk away, it stops. I said, what's up with that? He said, don't know. Never seen anything like that. We go in the back room. In the back room, if you turn out the lights, you can't see, 2 inches in front of your face. It's dark. And that's why they want to go back there. So we go back there. we're standing there, and they said, we're going to do a test here. I just want to see who's here. I was like, all right. I said, they're here. I said, but we'll see what happens. So we're standing there all in the dark. My wife and I can't see her. I can't see anybody. We're all just in the dark. And he says, is there anybody here in this room? And then above us in the ceiling, you hear, and I was like, who did that? And he's like, I didn't do it. I was like, well, you can't do it in the ceiling because the ceiling's like 6 feet up. So he asked again, is there anybody here? And the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden on the floor, what looks like a light bulb turns on, just turns on, turns off. And he's like, does anybody have their equipment on? He's like, no, I don't. What's going on here? He's like, Mr. Jackson, you got some lights on the floor? I said, why would there be lights on the floor? It's a carpet floor. My wife is in there. My wife turns the light on in there, and we're just standing on a carpet floor. There's no lights there. And they're like, what the hell was that? I was like, again, I don't know. It's just things happen in this house. I said, but wherever I go, things happen. So we go upstairs. Here's where it gets crazy. We go upstairs, and they said, we want to do an experiment. We have this thing called an ovulus. It's a spirit box. I said, I said, oh, like on TV, it says words and stuff. He says, yeah. He said, I want you to go in the bedroom, lay in bed, pretend you're sleeping, and then we're going to come in, turn this thing on and see what happens. And I was like, okay. So I lay in bed, go in there, lay down, turn it on. I go pretend I'm sleeping. They come in, they turn this box on, and immediately after they turn the box on, it starts spitting out words. It says, Wendy, Paul, Michael, Helen. It says special, energy, light, unique. One time it said the word road, and it says it all this in computer voice. It says road, like a street. And when it said road, a car went right past my house. And I'm laying there going, holy shit. That was weird. So then I'm laying there, and then they start asking it questions. This went on for 10 minutes. And every time they asked it a question, it answered. One of the questions they asked was, are you here to harm Daniel? And this thing spits out and says, no, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Then it said, Daniel is the light. And I was like, what does that mean? Daniel is the light. And I'm like, and this went on for 10 minutes. They ask other questions. What's going on? They leave the room when it finishes. I get up. I go out of the room. I'm talking to my wife. I said, what's going on there? Well, what are they doing? She said, I don't know. They came out here and started having a huddle. So they get done their little huddle. And I said, well, that was pretty cool. We got a bunch of information, right? And they said, well, we're not sure, Mr. Jackson. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, whenever we use the spirit box, we can get it to say a few words here and there. But that was an intelligent conversation and went on for 10 minutes. I said, yeah. And he said, but the problem with that is it was saying sentences. I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, it never says sentences. It just says a couple words. And I was like, yeah, but you got sentences, you got all this stuff. I mean, that's a lot of information. He said, yeah, we have to go and we'll leave and we'll come back in a couple of weeks with a big reveal. We'll let you know what's going on. And I said, okay. They left. They gave me a bunch of, a guy gave me a squirt bottle with some water in it. I said, what's that for? He says, that's holy water. He gave me a little Bible. Yeah, right, because holy water is going to do something. You know what that is? That's water. That's what it is, because nothing's holy. So he gave me a Bible. He gave me some prayers. He told me to go online and here's some prayers, and you can play them on a computer and then just continuously play them. Because, man, I was seeing like green and red mist pouring out of the walls with these skulls coming out of the walls, and they all had red eyes and fangs. I was seeing all kinds of crazy shit, you know? I mean, we were pouring salt around the room. You know what that did? Made my room salty. That's all it did. and he gave me a cross to use. Again, a cross is a form of punishment. So how are you going to make something evil go away by putting a form of punishment in front of its face? You're not, because it doesn't work. The same way with using smudging. People want to smudge their homes. Well, spirit is in a realm that they don't have bodies anymore. They don't have lungs. They can't smell, and they can't breathe. So the only thing that you're doing is when you're lighting that thing on fire, is you're setting your fire alarms off. That's all you're doing. Now, the intention of that is to put that smoke out, put positive energy out. If you want to do that, that's fine. But is it actually making negative energy go away? No, because the only way you can make it go away is by putting positive energy out there. And that's it. So they were supposed to come back in 2 weeks, and they didn't come back. And I wasn't able to get a hold of them for 6 weeks. And when I finally did get a hold of him, I said, so when you guys coming back? He said, we're not. And I said, why not? He said, well, there's a problem, Mr. Jackson. Usually when we get information from a house, we get a little bit here and there. We don't get that kind of information from just one house like we got at yours. I was like, okay. He said, yeah. When we walked outside, everybody on the team quit. And no one will come back to your house because they're scared shitless to come back in your house because of all that information we got. And I was like, okay, so are you going to come back to my house and tell me what? He goes, no, I don't feel comfortable coming back in your house either. He said, I suggest you take the holy water and you continue with the prayers. I said, you're not helping me. I said, I need help. I need to know what's going on here. I don't need to know if I have spirit. I just need to know why I have spirit. What's going on here? He said, maybe you could get a hold of a medium or something. Maybe they could help you. He said, I'm sorry, but we just can't now because the team's broken up. I said, yeah, I'm not going to have another one come in and tell me the same bullshit that you're telling me. You're not helping anybody. I said, maybe you ought to get out of this business because you're not helping anybody. He said, well, the team's not together anymore. He said, I'm not putting another one together. I said, good. So I did that. I sought out mediums and I found 5 of them. And every one of them didn't know each other. And every one of them told me the same story about me. One in particular, I went to see. I called her up and she said, I'm having a show. You should come to my show to see how I do things. I didn't know what she meant by that till afterwards. So I got tickets. My wife and I went to the show. I didn't tell her I was coming. I walked into the room. There was 50 people in there. I walked in and she didn't know I was coming. But as soon as I walked in the room, she just stared at me and watched me walk through the room as I sat down. And I was like, what the hell's up with that? My wife's like, I don't know. So then she reads 8 people, and one of the 8 people she reads was me, because she said spirit comes in and I see them, they stand in line, but there's one that keeps coming up to me and won't leave me alone. So he wants me to put this information out, and we're all just sitting there. And she says his name is Robert, but he goes by Bob. He wears white T-shirts and flannel shirts when he's at home, but when he's working, he would wear a business suit. And he has passed away, and he fell down, and that's the way that that's the reason why he passed away. And I raised my hand. I said, I think that's my dad. And she said, okay, why? I said, because his name is Robert, goes by Bob, wears white and flannel T-shirts, and wore a business suit. And he did fall down. That's how he died. He died from blunt force trauma. And she said, well, he's showing me another picture, too. He shows me what looks like prison bars, a school bus, and somebody like a doctor wearing a stethoscope. I said, yeah, that's me. I know this is my dad. She said, why? I said, because I just went to school for medical records, and now I work in a prison, and I wear scrubs all day. And she said, who is Sarah? And I said, my niece. She said, no. Sarah, who had to make the big decision for your dad to pass away. And I said, that's my mother. Her name is Joan, but her middle name is Sarah. And she had to make the decision for the doctors to pull the plug. At that point, that's when I knew this was real. Because how would she know that? My mother's middle name. And she pulled the plug for my dad to pass away. Because he fell up a flight of stairs, and when he fell, it moved his brainstem.
Ooh.
How did she know? So at the end of the show, I walked up to her and I said, hi, my name's Daniel Jackson. She said, oh, you're the guy I talked to on the phone a couple of weeks ago. I said, yeah, because, again, she's not psychic either. So, I mean, I get psychic messages sometimes, but I don't call myself psychic because when you do that, people come up to you and say, hey, what am I thinking now? And I just say, I don't know, but I think you're an asshole. So, yeah. So, because people like to do that shit because they think they're fucking smart asses when they're not, they're just being a dumbass. So she tells me, she said, I want you to stay here and wait till everybody leaves because I got to talk to you. I said, okay. So everybody leaves. My wife and I are standing there, and she said, did you pick up? She said, I saw you walk in the room. I said, yeah, I saw you staring at me. My wife and I picked up on that. She said, yeah. She said, I know you see spirit, and I know you see them a lot. I said, yeah, you have no idea. She says, well, I'm sure it's a lot. I said, no. It's like being in a room with 1,000 people in a dark room, except nobody leaves and more just keep coming in. And that's how many I see in a day. I see more spirit in a day than any paranormal group will ever see, ever. Because they are looking from the outside in. I'm on the inside because I have this connection with them. So I said, yeah, that's how many I see. And she says, yeah. I said, I told her what I was seeing. She said, yeah. She says, I believe they're testing you. I said, testing me for what? She said, to see what you're going to do with this ability. She said, you're waking up. And this is your waking up moment. They want to see what you're going to do with this ability. I said, what do you mean? She said, what you're going to do with it. Are you going to continue to use it? Are you going to try to help people? Or are you just going to let it fade away? And I was like, I don't want it to go away. She said, yeah, I don't think you do. I said, yeah, it feels like it's a part of my life, but I don't know what to do here. She said, you need to have a sit-down talk with God or the higher power, whatever you want to call him. And I said, okay. And she said, and you have to tell him whether you want to say yes to this ability or are you going to say no and just let it fade away. She said, but I don't think you want it to go away. I said, no. She said, well, then you have a big decision to make, Daniel. I said, well, why am I seeing so many? She said, it's not that you're seeing so many. You have the ability to see them, but they're coming to you. I said, why? She said, well, when I saw you walk in the room, like she explained to me, spirit sees you. They see your body frame. They see your light. They don't see that with you because that's not what I see either. She said, all I see is light. You look like a light bulb. And she said, you are like a beacon of light. And they are the moths coming to you. It's like a moth in a flame. They come to you because they see your light. And your light is brighter than everyone else's. And I said, what do you mean? She said, oh, I've never seen a light as bright as yours. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? She said, I said, why? She said, because spirit comes to you because they believe that you're the light into heaven. See, when everyone passes away, when you two guys pass away, you're going to stand up out of your body. You're going to look, you're going to move to the left and then look to the right, and then a light is going to come on. And that's your own personal light. Everybody gets one. And you either go in or you don't. And if you don't, it goes out. But what there's also is one continual light that shines all the time. Not only does it shine, but the voice itself that's coming from that light, all spirit can hear, because all spirit can tone your voice out, regular people's voices out, because if they want to, they don't want to hear you, because they are able to do that. They are pure energy. But there's one light that shines all the time, and the voice that comes from it, they can't tune it out because it is a beacon. It is a beacon to show them where to go. And it brings them towards that light. And that light has to shine all the time, meaning that light is a soul, and it keeps coming back over and over and over again into another body. And that light has shined since the beginning of time in order to show all spirit, not just people, dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, everything that has a soul has to be able to find this light in case it did not go in for one reason or another, or it got lost. So it has to have that beacon all the time. And I was like, okay. And she said, so it has to shine all the time. This soul never goes home. And I was like, all right. And she said, it's you. And I said, what the hell is that supposed to mean? She said, it's you. Your soul just keeps coming back over and over and over again. It doesn't go home. It just stays in the body, comes into your body, a new body every time, just a different version of you. Now, my mom told me when I was young, and then she reiterated this to me later in life when she was coming to her end. She said, you know, because I never met my grandfather on my father's side. And the reason being is because my grandfather was bugging the shit out of my mom and dad when I was going to be born. Now, I have two brothers and a sister, He didn't really give a crap about them when they were being born. He came to see them, but no big deal. He really wanted to come see me be born for some reason. Why? Because he knew. Because it was in him before it was in me. And what happened was he called my mom and dad up and said, hey, let me know when he's going to be born. My dad calls him back up a couple of days later and said, he's going to be born. You got to come to the hospital. And my grandfather got ready to come to the hospital and got ready and had a heart attack and died. And what happened there was his soul left his body and came into mine. And I was born. So, yes, so the light that shines to show spirit where to go and what to do has to shine for two reasons all the time. One, to shine all the time and have that voice so it can hear it. So even if I just mumble, they hear my voice and they can't get away from it. And two, for the other reason, because I physically cross them over into the light. When I see spirit, when I'm in my bedroom at nighttime and it's dark in there, or if I'm in a dark room, or if I look into a darkened TV or anywhere dark, I mean, I see them during the day in light, but I see them better in a dark room. And I'm able to look into that realm and see them all standing there. That realm does not have trees or buildings or anything like that. It's just land and gazillions of souls, people, dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, everything. I see it all. I see beings from other places. They're not human. They don't look human. They look sort of humanoid, some of them, but most of them don't. And they come to me, and I talk to them, and I tell them where to go, and sometimes they ask me questions. So in order to get answers for them, I communicate with what I have as my spirit guides, archangels. They tell me the answers. I tell spirit, and that's how I get answers. And because I can get answers for them, I can get answers for any soul on the face of this earth, which is everybody. So, yes, so I cross them over. And sometimes it happens where, like, I was sitting with my sister one time in a low-lit room talking about stuff, and a big flash of light went off next to me, and she was like, what the hell was that? I was like, oh, it's just somebody jumping in. She said, jumping in? I said, yeah, jumping in. She goes, oh, crossing over. I said, yeah. But she has this ability, but she's a very negative person. She can't use it. She said, how the hell do you get used to that? And I tell her the same thing. Remember when we were kids, mom and dad put green beans in front of our face, and now 30 years later, we like green beans? You get used to it. I get used to that all the time. She's like, that's got to be crazy. I said, it's normal for me. You know that because we grew up in it. She said, yeah, I guess so. But people catch it. I was just doing an interview on a podcast a couple of days ago, my podcast, and the woman said, I just saw an orb float right in front of your face. I said, yeah. She said, doesn't that freak you out? I said, no. She said, why not? I said, because when you see it all day long, it doesn't bother you. This doesn't bother me either. But I know that you're never going to have anybody on your show who's going to tell you that they are the light in the heaven, because they can't, because it's only in one person, me.
True. I do have a question.
Sure.
You say there's two lights, a personal light and then the almighty light.
Eternal
Yeah,
light.
and that
Eternal.
light. Yes, I see that light all the time. Like if I'm sitting in a car, I see, or if I'm when I go to sleep at night, my wife walks into the room. She doesn't need a night light because I physically glow.
Okay. So are you
get used to it.
Are you the eternal one, or which has always been here?
Yes, for all spirit to see. So all spirit knows where to go towards that light. And then they either walk in again or they don't.
Okay.
Because spirit can cross over anytime they want to. They just don't always know that. So sometimes when I see them in front of me, I'll say, hello, everyone. Does anyone want to cross over? And they all look at me like, what the fuck? And I just say, yeah, there's a voice who just come out of this light. My name is Daniel. I'm here to help you. I am the light. Oh, does anybody want to cross over? If you want to cross over, just come on over towards me. And then I will see them line up in these huge lines. And I did it one time. I do it all the time, but I had one crazy experience where I started crossing them over, and all these people are just going, all these flashes are going off in the light in the room and all that stuff. And then it stopped, and I was like, is there anybody else that wants to cross over? And then I heard this voice off in the distance that said, well, why do you need more? And I said, because God wants all of his children to come home, and you are all his children, whether you want to believe it or not. You are who you are because of him.
Yeah.
You didn't just appear, correct? And they were like, whatever. And I said, well, I need to cross more over. He said, you don't need any more. You just crossed 6,000 of them. I said, well, I got to get 6,000 more. I got to get them all over here. And then I said, come on, everybody lined up. And then I could hear this thing screaming at me, no, no. The reason why, it was a negative energy. And because negative energies, in order to survive where they are, they need more negative energy. And they get some energy off of these people and animals and everything else that's there, but they need more negative energy. That's why so many people, we have negative energies around us all the time. You know them. They're the people who like to gossip and talk shit about people all the time, or they're just horrible people. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, they have an energy that came from that realm and attached itself to you because it needs they are more like an energy vampire is what I call it. They need negative energy. I mean, you'll see, you want to go when you want to go to a place that has a shitload of negative energies in it, go to church, because everybody in there is trying to be the best Christian in front of everybody else because they're full of shit. So these negative energies hang out there because they know they're doing that. Yeah. And if you are a negative person walking around being a piece of shit, the reason being is because you have one of these connected to you. Because you, as a person with your free will, has a choice, free will to decide if you're going to be a piece of shit or you're not going to be a piece of shit. You always have a choice. People go out and kill each other and murder and do all this stuff because they choose to do it, because they have a negative energy around them who is whispering in their ears and saying, go out and kill people. And then they wake up the next day and go, I think I'm going to go out and kill somebody. But you could also be that person with your thinking mind and say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that. I don't want to go out and kill people. I'm a good person, and I'm going to go out and do good things. And you could do that too. But we have a lot of these negative energies around us, but we also have positive energies around us too. They are ones who have crossed over, and they come back here to help us and or become spirit guides for us. My spirit guides just happen to be archangels because when I'm in that realm, I have to be protected from all those negative energies. I, myself, can walk into absolutely any haunted house on the face of this earth and nothing can touch me. And I've done it. And the reason they can't touch me is because I have to be protected from them in order to cross over all other spirit, in order to remain this light. So I don't have any problems ever. Now, I do get touched by spirit all the time, but these are spirit who want to cross over. Now, imagine that. I walk around and spirit touch me all over my body. I feel these little twinges and stuff like that. Because they're walking up, all they see is light. They don't know what I am, so they're trying to put their fingers on me to see the hell I am. And then I wipe off the spot, and I go, all right, spirit, that's enough. You want to cross over? My name's Daniel Jackson. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you cross over. I'll close my eyes. I'll see them standing right in front of me, whatever it is. Last week, I saw an octopus next to my bed. So I've seen alligators in my room. I've seen giraffes. I've seen everything, people. And like I said, other beings that just aren't people. And then I cross them over. But a lot of them don't cross over for many reasons, because of reasons that we taught them. We taught them they're a shitty person, or we told them they're a shitty person, or we told them they're going to go to hell and they're going to be judged. No. But they used their free will to choose to not go in. That little girl who's next to my bed, she doesn't live here in this home. She stayed in the other home, but she was in that home for 8 years. She did not want to cross over because of a simple fact. David, when you wake up out of your body, you're going to know you've been here 27 times. You're going to get perfect memories back from every single time you've been here. You're going to get perfect memories of your life here now and the other 26 times. And when you know that you have been here 27 times, you're going to say to yourself, maybe if I go into that life, I might have to come back again. And I don't want to. Because my 26 lives, maybe 22 of them sucked. I wouldn't want to come back and do that again.
Right.
You may say to yourself, I don't want to do that, so I will just stay here. And then you just made the choice to stay here. But you can go over anytime you want to. But in order to go over, you got to let go of your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and anguish, and all that stuff to do it.
That's what my question was going to be.
Sure.
Say you go to the left for the first time. You're here.
There's only one.
You're
There's only one soul who's ever been. There's only one soul who's ever been here one time and went back.
Well,
his name is Jesus.
Okay, so
that's why he was able to do things he did. He was able to heal people because he was so connected to his soul. He could do that, and he was here to tell us we could all do that if we got back to that, as we could now.
Yeah, but just say you go back, you go and you stay in your earthbound.
Yeah.
Are you still going to see that eternal light? So if you want to go back, you can?
Yeah, so as long as you are an earthbound spirit, you will always see that eternal light. Okay. It will remain here. But now there's something else extra with it. After I pass away this time, this is the last time. I will go home this time, as I am told by the archangels. And when I go home, there will no longer be an eternal light. Reason being is because this place is coming to an end.
So we're on our last leg.
Absolutely. We need to fix it. I mean, we have all these billionaires who are taking joyrides up into spaceships and want to go to a dead planet called Mars. But we have a perfectly good planet here that we could fix, but we're not doing it. Why? Why do they want to go to some dead planet? Let me tell you something. This is not the first time we've had a go around. We originally came from other places. One of those places was Mars. We destroyed that place, and then they had us start over here. And who do I say is they? Who I say archangels are? Because your show is about, spirit and all that. It's also about UFOs and all that. That's who they are. That's who angels are. That's what they look like. I see them all the time. Archangel Michael does not look like a man with blue eyes. Doesn't even have blue eyes. Archangel Michael looks like a hybrid moose, like a moose and a horse. Got these big floppy ears, got a wide head, doesn't have any antlers, and his eyes are wider apart, and they're like a reddish brown. And he has this long body with this. The body has real short hair on it. Archangel Uriel, Raphael, Ezekiel, yeah. They look like I see them in my room at nighttime. When I see them during the day, if you ever seen somebody smoking a cigarette and the cigarette smoke comes off the cigarette, looks like little petals, I see that during the day around me all the time. It's just next to my face on both sides of me, all around me all the time. At nighttime, I see them. I used to see them just these bright bluish white lights coming up from the floor, but now I'm able to see their faces now. And when I see them, I used to see them just two of them. Now there's thousands of them, and I know which ones they are because that's what they glow this blue and white light. And it's like when I see them, I have these 7-8 foot praying mantises standing in my room. That's what angels are. They are just beings of a higher consciousness that no longer need a body, and they are here to help us. That's why they're here. I know what they look like. I know what they do for us. I know what they do for me and do for everyone else. If anyone else were to see them, it would probably scare the shit out of you because you were taught that it's a monster. They're not monsters. They're here to help us. And we could all do that. We could all figure it out if we learn to listen and learn to follow through. But we don't. This is how you know that spirit is contacting you. If you're driving in your car or you're driving in your truck, David, and you see a car in front of you and you say, I'm going to pass that car. And then you get that gut feeling that says, don't pass the car. Well, then don't pass the fucking car because that's a spirit trying to tell you don't pass the car because you're going to get around that car. And next thing you know, you're going to get into an accident. And this is how you know that people aren't listening. So maybe you're in the hospital because you're talking to your friend who didn't listen and they got into an accident, and then they tell you these 3 simple words, and this is how you're going to know for the rest of your life that people are not listening. They're going to tell you, Dave, you know what? I saw that car in front of me, and I got this gut feeling to not pass the car, but I went around it anyway, and now here I am. And here's the 3 words. I just knew. When anybody says, I just knew, that means Spirit was talking to them and telling them not to do this.
I'm one that believes in listening to your gut.
Damn right, because it wants you to do what you need to do and tells you to stop doing the bullshit that you're doing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I live by. Is I listen to my gut every time it says to do something. I make sure that I stop, look, and listen.
Absolutely,
we do have
that's what they want you to do. That means you're paying attention. But yeah, Spirit sees that light all the time. They have to be able to see it in order to go. But when I go home this time, it's out. So there will be one more chance for Spirit to cross over. And that's at the end, what we call end of days. And end of days, no one's going to be here for that anyway. No, it's not. It's going to be fire and shit on Earth. But the reason why is because the Earth will come to an end. But all the Spirit will, at that point, will rise up out of their bodies. And then if we haven't learned enough lessons and haven't filled all the purpose that we're supposed to do, life will start over somewhere else. So at that point, all Spirit will be told, you can now cross over.
Okay, so we do
and if
have
they don't, yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, if they don't, then the other ones who will remain here will remain here in nothingness, because there will be no other souls for them to bug, because they will all be gone. They left.
Yeah.
But yeah, life will start over again.
We got a question in the chat room.
Awesome.
Well, Linga wants to know how long do we have?
Yeah, how long do we
you know
have?
that? Do you know how long we have?
Yes, I do.
Can you disclose that information?
Well, I will disclose that information. I won't tell you the reason. you guys are awesome. That's fucking funny. Yeah, I will disclose. I won't. So I'm actually writing a book. I finished it. I have some friends who are over the house right now who live up in past Phoenix, and one of them is an editor. She's going to edit my book for me. I had another girl do the book for me, and she just returned it to me, and I got it all back, and I was like, holy fuck, this sucks. Didn't sound like me. She changed a bunch of my story, left a bunch of it out. So this other woman's going to do it for me. And
you wouldn't happen to know Lori Hines, would you? She lives in Sedona.
Really? Nope, don't know her. I just moved here 2 months ago. I don't know anybody. Except I know the freaking Army's watching me. But, yeah, bitches, because that's those they are, bitches. So in my book, I talk about my whole story. And the reason for my book is not for me to sell books. The reason for my book is so when people see my story, my book is to show them if you have this going on in your life, you need to reach out and find your people. You need to reach out and find out what's going on with you. And this is probably good. What happened to me is probably what's happening to you, and they're trying to wake you up. Because in the end of the book, I'm going to tell them, if you can't find anybody, here's my phone number. Call me, because I'll talk to you. Why do I do that? And I won't even charge them anything. I do it because I can.
So, Linga asked another question.
I got to answer her other question. How long do we have?
Yes.
23:32. That's it. I will tell you, we're not getting to Star Wars and Jetsons. We're not. Because we're going to destroy this place. What's her other question?
Was asking the name of your book. And his name is Daniel Jackson.
Yes, and the name of my book is going to be called The New Beginning, because life will start again. So that 2332, there's a message within 2332. I'm just so at the end of my book is not going to say the end. It's going to say 2332. what I want the people to do, if they read the book, like God wants you to do, because God bless you. No, God already blessed you once. He put you here. He wants you to figure out the rest ourselves. And that's what I want them to do. Look at that 2332, and then I want them to figure it out, because it has another meaning to it. I hope they do. But they got to learn to listen and follow through. Right, Dave?
That's right. Absolutely. I think, if we all decided one of these days to listen to that voice in the back of our own heads that it screams at you all the time, and we like to tune things like that out. But if we went back to a simpler time in life, and where those people understood a lot more than what we do today, then we would probably go further than what we are or where we are. Our civilization definitely would.
Damn it, Dave! You son of a bitch! You picked up on it. You have it right.
Yeah, thank you. I try to live my life now that way.
Yeah, me too.
And some people think that I'm, trying to, I don't know, be anti-religious or anti-whatever. But, for me, I don't see it that way, because I don't see religion or these things. I see them the same way as what you've described it, throughout
control.
the night. It's all a control mechanism. And
you know what you are, Dave? You're just like me. You're anti-bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it is.
And I think that if we decided to all listen to the voice in the back of our head, most of us have that voice that says, this ain't right.
That's what that is. That's your soul talking to you.
Right.
That's your soul trying to tell you this is fucked up shit. And then if you don't listen to your soul, you have other spiritual guides that will come in and help and try to push the issue more. But some people listen and some people don't. They just don't. So, but you know what happens to those people? What happens to those people?
Yeah.
They come back.
Yeah. Back every time.
And do it again. Yeah, do it again. Now, I told you, you've been here 27 times, but don't worry. That's not a bad thing, because that's about average. When people want to know that, how many times I've been here, it's between 26 and 29 times. That's average. I have met some people, one woman was here like 43 times. She is seriously fucking it up. But, that's her decision. That's her free will to do that. So, and she's like, man, I got to get, I said, you got to figure this stuff out so you don't have to come back again. But they don't always get it, man. They really don't. I wish they would, so we could get back to that simpler way of life, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe in the simpler way. And that's why I've, started adopting, and I'll call it pagan for just the sole purposes that's what the Christian church or something else would want to call it, more of a pagan lifestyle. But
yeah, absolutely. I get it.
But, more of a lifestyle to where it's more about, my family, my friends, about my community and the things that I can do for my community and my family and my friends and these people. I think living and being from the South, a lot of us have a leg up on some other people, I think, because,
you're taught differently.
We're taught respect from a young age.
Right. Respect, absolutely. Yeah.
And we're also,
I'm from New Jersey and Delaware, and we were taught respect over there. Every time I saw a woman or somebody who was older than me, I said, hello, sir, or hello, ma'am, how are you? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we're taught, from a young age is that you, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir. And but then at the same time, we're also taught to help each other.
Right.
Whether you know them, whether you don't know them, if someone needs to be jumped, you go get away to freaking jump their car off. If someone's stuck on the side of the road, you stop and ask them, "Are you okay?
You stop
Is
and ask,
everything fine?"
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the South, you see that all the time. And, you don't really see people stuck for long on the side of the road in the South because 50 people stop and ask you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And people have lost that.
Yes.
People, I think right now they're telling us to social distance. So no one's stopping for anybody.
Right. Well, that's another fear and control mechanism.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they put this, they want us to live in fear. They want us to live in fear of everything. They want us to live in this fear of right now, this whole thing with Russia and Ukraine and all that stuff. And that's why the gas prices are going up. But people will tell you, as we read on Reddit and all these other things, that's just a daily thing over there. Yeah. But this is what they want us to think so they can raise gas prices and put fear in our hearts. And yeah, it's absolutely a bunch of bullshit. But they continue to put this out and people follow it. Yeah, I mean, how much can you listen to Spirit? You can listen to. I'll tell you how much you can listen to Spirit. I listen to him so much, I moved to Arizona because they told me to. When I'm out riding my motorcycle, because I do get answers, I get touched on my face for yes and no answers. I'm up to, I think, 17 now. 16 of them are archangels. One of them, I've only received an answer on my eyelid 5 times, and that's from God. And I've actually seen him twice. Doesn't look like what you think he does. And but when I'm out riding my motorcycle, I'll be riding down the road. I'll go, I think I'll take this right-hand turn here. And then I get a no. Because when I get a no on my face, it feels like a tear's running down my eye. And then when I get touched on my forehead and other places on my forehead, it feels like blood is running across my face. But again, that has to do with the crown of thorns. So when I'm riding and I go, I'll take that right-hand turn, and I get that no, I go, so you don't want me to take that right-hand turn? And they go, no, again. So you want me to go down to the next one and make a right-hand turn? And then I get a yes. And then I go, okay. What I don't do is I don't question it, because what they are doing is looking out for my best interest. What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I'll get into a car accident or something like that, but maybe I won't if I listen to them. Because I've already asked that question, and they said I'm never going to get into another car accident again. But the reason being is because I listened to them. And if I continue to do that, I'll be okay.
Right.
We could all do that, but we have to learn to listen to them and then follow through. Right. Don't question. You don't always have to have the answer to everything, but people do, because you were taught to do that, so you could put some type of blame on it. You don't need to blame anything, because even if you get shot, you're dying because it's your time to go. That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Linka has another question.
I'd like to know how the hell she got that name.
I don't know.
Linga. All right. Yeah.
She
got a friend named Cunning?
What about my children? And I guess she means like preparing for it, preparing them for it.
My advice for that, preparing them. What does she want to know? Preparing for what? Like the end?
I guess the end.
Well, before the end, by the time the end comes here, she's not going to be living, because that's 2332. That's like 300 years from now, unless she does have to come back again.
Right.
But that's learning to prepare yourself for another lifetime. That when you go to heaven and they tell you, hey, you didn't fulfill your purpose and you got to come back again, they school you a little bit and they tell you, this is what you need to do when you go back again, blah, blah, blah. But here's the problem with it. When you come back again, what happens? You wake up in a baby body and you're going, wah! And you got these people going above you going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're looking at them like, I don't know who the fuck you are, but I'm in a baby body. Wah! And then you grow up and then they teach you the ways of the world and then you're all screwed up again. Or
I get this image as Boss Baby. That cartoon Boss Baby, have you ever...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I get an image of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Or the little dinosaurs, not the mama.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So or you listen to the world and what they tell you, all this bullshit, or you don't, because you don't have to. Because when you have negative people around you, they are like a singer, and you are the audience. And if you don't like what they're saying when they're singing, walk away. I do it all the time. People say, "Oh, you're a fraud," and all this stuff. Really now? I had a lady come on Facebook one time. Last time I did a live show, that live show I did, she came on Facebook, and because I put it on Sierra Vista Talks on the town I live in, town, it's a city, 134 square miles, but only 44,000 people here. I came from Delaware. It was 131 square miles, and there was almost 1 million people. So she comes on. She said, "You put the wrong day and the wrong." I said, "Yeah, I'm just recovering from being sick here. I'll put the correct. It's the same day, just the wrong date on it." Yeah. I said, "But that doesn't make a difference anyway, because you're not going to come to the show anyway, because you don't believe in what I do. You're not a believer of this, and you may come in and try to prove that I'm a fraud, so you can get everybody else to think what you think. But I'm not going to allow you to do that, because I'm going to block you from the show." And then immediately after I posted that, she said, "You are a fraud." And that's exactly what I was going to do. And so that proves to me you're a fraud. I said, "No, what proves to me is I'm not a fraud, because I just read you before you even knew it." And she said, and her comment was, "Oh." I said, "So how did I know that before you said it?" And she had no answer.
Yeah. Well, we have Linga has called in. Hey, Linga.
I want to hear Linga's. I want to hear a voice that comes from a name called Linga.
Hello, Linga.
Linga, are you there?
Yes, we're here. Are you there?
I can't hear her.
Oh, the call ended.
They ended the call.
Can't hear.
Call back, Linga. I want to hear your beautiful voice. So, how can you prepare how can you prepare your children? You really can't. You can prepare them for this life. And if you're looking out there on TV and the news right now, and if you're seeing everything else going on in the world, and you haven't picked up on the fact that this place is fucked up, then you're blind. Because this world is screwed up. And the only way that you can change that is by making a change, by not listening to that narrative. Prepare yourself.
Linga's back. Can you hear us now?
Awesome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I'm a bloke.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. You thought I was a woman. I'm sorry about that.
Linga is not a woman. Oh, well.
Linga is not a woman. I gotta say, yeah, cool chat. I was just wondering, I think a lot of things that you said are like intuitive.
What would you like to know, Linga? I will answer it for you.
Okay, well, I guess like I remember talking to my kids when they were probably just before the age of maybe 3 or 4. Maybe 5,
and they could see,
anyway.
And they were seeing spirit, weren't they? And or you would call them what you would say they are your imaginary friends or something like that.
No. What he used to say was, "I don't want to forget." And he.
Boy.
What he picked you. Like
what did he mean by that?
You. Like I picked. Well, he said I picked you from the. Like he told Mum that he picked Mum from the mummy shop. He's like, I went to the mummy shop and I picked you.
Yeah.
I wondered what your insight on that was.
Because when you've come into this world, when he came into this world, before he came into this world, the soul picks the body to be into. The soul, because everyone always comes back over and over and over again. You always come back into the same family circle every single time, but you don't always come back as the child. Sometimes you come back as the mommy. Sometimes you come back as the daddy, but you always come back. You might come back as a cousin, but you always come back into the same family circle. And he chose this body and you and your wife to be his parents. And he doesn't want to forget that. That's why he said what he said. And he was taught lots of things to do, to say, to help himself throughout his life. But again, what happens is because they're so young, they're so pure of heart, they remember some of that stuff because they're new into the world again. And then what happens is he learns the ways of the world. He learns about hate and sorrow and anger and grief and guilt and anguish and all that stuff. And everything he remembers or wants to remember goes away because he's trained, he's brainwashed into thinking a new way, to have fear in his life. He doesn't want to remember, he wants to remember the place where he came from, which was heaven. He wants to remember the love and the compassion that he knew back at home. He doesn't want to forget that.
Why send them back here? You know, why
because
send them
they
back
come
here?
Because each person, each soul comes back in again to learn its lessons and to fulfill a purpose. And that purpose is helping other people. And once you do that enough times, if he does it enough times, then he won't have to come back again. But it's not a punishment because this world here is a learning planet. And we just come here to learn things.
Okay.
That's all. But yeah, he doesn't want to forget all the good stuff that he knows. I hope he doesn't.
Thank you for answering that. I think, like I've also sort of found that the reflection thing, like if once you're a parent and you have a kid, you have like this ability to be able to learn in reflection from your kids. Yep. And I wonder sometimes whether that's like by design. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
It's like a catalyst for you to hurry the fuck up and learn your lesson as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can learn so much from our children, but we don't let our children speak to us like adults. Because our children are new into this world. They just came from home. But the reason we don't let them do that is because we were taught long ago, thousands of years, not to let them do that. Because we could get true answers from heaven, from them. But the ones who want to have control and power of us don't want that to happen. Believe me, they don't want the second coming of Christ coming back. Because if he did come back, he would take all the power and control away from religion. And then they wouldn't have any. And then we would realize that all they've been doing is ripping us off for money every time they want us to give them 10%. There would be true anarchy in the world if they found that out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Can I ask you one more question, then I'll go? I come from.
You can ask me anything you want to.
My great grandfather was a medium as well in the 1950s,
and he was. I'm being told yes, he was.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I wondered whether that kind of lineage or that skill, and even for you, did that come down?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't pass down the line. It doesn't pass down the line. Just because your grandfather would be a medium doesn't mean that you will. It comes through with each individual soul, and some souls are meant to have it, and some aren't. Now, just because you have one or two or three of them in the family, again, doesn't mean it had anything to do with the lineage or being related. Because here's the thing about it: as your son would know this, he chose you and your wife to be his parents, meaning he chose you and your wife to create the body. But what you cannot do is create the soul. So you, as parents, are not really his parents. All you do is created the body. And then what makes you his parents is you being upbringing and being there for him. That's what makes you your parents. Because you could go out and adopt a child and then bring up that child. And even though you're not blood connected, because only bodies are blood connected, souls, everyone's connected. If you bring up a child because you adopted that child, you are its parents. But yes, the parents are only God gave us an ability to create more bodies. We're like factories, but the soul comes from Him. But like I said, your son is your son this time around. The last time you were here, your son, that they are telling me, was actually your brother. Because he came into a different body. Because we all come into different bodies. Sometimes, I'm going to point out with David, David's been here. He's on number 27. And 16 times he was a man. The other times he was a woman. And the reason being is because we are here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. But you're here to learn a lesson in a particular body at a particular time. That's why I will tell everybody out there, if they're listening, if you're one of those people who decide you want to change your parts because you decided that you made a decision to decide that you want to be representative of women or some other made up gender, because there's only two genders, and you decide to choose your parts differently because you want to be accepted as that. If you change your parts, you are coming back. I don't make the rules. I don't enforce the rules. I just tell everybody this is the way it is. You are here to learn lessons in that particular body. And if you change that body, you're coming back. I will also tell you, everybody out there who's getting a tattoo, when you die and you cross over, your tattoos don't go with you.
Oh, man.
They don't, because it's part of the body.
Wasted money.
Yeah, you can't tattoo your soul. So the soul, because what happens, even with you, Linga, when you stand up, you will stand up out of your body. Now, the soul that's inside of you right now does not look like you, Linga. It looks like you the last time you were here. But when you stand up out of your body this time, it will retain your shape. Now, depending upon what age you pass away, if you pass away before the age of 30 years old, then when you get back home, your soul will grow up to be 30. Or if you die over the age of 30 years old at 70, you cross over, you will go back to being 30. It's more or less of it's a prime age, but it's more or less of a feeling, because we all know around 30 years old is when we feel like we're at our best. But it has to do more with Jesus, because when he passed away and all that stuff. But yeah, you go back to being 30, and because you are at your best at that point. And everyone there is 30. Now, that's because, as you've ever heard stories of, I saw my grandma, but she looked like a lot younger. But sometimes they come through as that older person because they want you to be recognizable to them, as they are recognizable to you. Hey, I'm your grandma, but when you get back home, you're going to know, maybe I was your grandma this time, but I wasn't your grandma all the time. But they will retain the shape. So when you get home this time, Linga, you will go back to being 30 years old, because you have a long time to be here. If you want to know how long you have to be here, you can ask, and I'll tell you. But that's up to you.
No, I don't want to know.
Good, because you know what? It's not important. Just go out and learn all your lessons and fulfill your purpose, and you'll be okay. I promise.
Yeah.
Because I see them all the time.
Cool, man.
And they let me know. See Jesus all the time.
I appreciate
You're very welcome.
It. Thank you very much.
Tell your son, whatever your son tells you that he wants to remember, do me a favor, write it down, so he can always remember it, because he needs to remember it. Don't let him forget. Please.
So funny you said brothers, because it's we fight like brothers. Like it's funny, like there's love in it, but
you're that connected to him. Yeah. We are all connected, because you know what else? Just like everybody else in the world, you're related to me as well. We're all related. We're all related to Jesus Christ. He's your brother, or if it was a wife, she is his sister. Yes, we're all related to everybody. And he was here to tell us that, too. He tried to tell us that and try to get us to wake up to that. But the ones who are in control wouldn't let that happen. So they murdered him in front of everybody to let them know, don't follow him or we'll do this to you too. You know what? Don't let them do that to you. You're better than that.
Thank you, buddy.
How about that?
Fantastic. I've got a mate in here, South Oz, man. He's from Australia as well. He's got a couple of questions, but I'll go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell them to ask a question. Get on here.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling in, Lingo.
Yeah, South Oz, man, would you like to call, or you want me to ask your questions and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let somebody ask some questions. You know what, guys? You know how much time I got to spend here?
We went over a little on the 2-hour mark, but sorry.
Yeah, I will stay here as long as you guys want me to. Because, again, you know why I do that? Because I can. And I will, as long as it helps people.
Right. That's the most important thing is helping somebody.
I'm holding my pee back like you wouldn't believe right now.
Well,
you want to take a quick break?
But I'm okay with it.
We can take a quick break if
we can.
You need to.
I've got a very quick break actually lined up if you want to do that real quick.
Yeah, I'm not going to go take a pee. I'm just okay. Going to sit here. But if you guys want to take a break, that's fine by me. I don't care.
No, we're good.
We're good.
We got South Oz, man. He's called in and he's on the line. How you doing? Uh-oh, I got him muted. Oh, no, he's not muted.
Okay, yeah. Well, g'day, guys. I'm really enjoying your broadcast, and I have a question. This is a little bit, not so-called like soul reincarnations and things like that, but my son, I asked him when he was 4, and I said, because I was very curious, I knew it was important to try and find out while they were young, and I said, where did you come from before you come here? Do you remember? And he said that he lived on the rings of Saturn. And they lived in a ship which is approximately 7 miles long, cigar-shaped. And that's where he come before. He never mentioned anything about choosing us or anything like that.
That's because he is what you call a starseed.
Okay.
Oh.
So a starseed may have come from another planet, but then wasn't learning what it needed to learn. So he was sent here.
Okay, thank you. And another thing
you're welcome.
With my others, just to be quick, my other son, when we get together a lot, we have a lot of paranormal activity around us. Especially we've had a past dog. We both feel that dog's still around, and we have dreams about that dog, for instance. And we have kinetic activities in the house when we're around each other, like something might fly off the bench and things like that. Can you explain that in any way, in a terminology?
Yeah, sure can, because your son has an ability that he doesn't realize he has. And because you being around him, you're witnessing it.
I made him consciously aware of it too, because I'm very open-minded, and I've.
Oh yeah, you're picking up on it, but that's why you're experiencing it. You're aware. You're picking up on what's going around. But the reason why is because it comes down to your son. Your son has an ability. Is he aware of that?
Sorry, what was that?
Is your son aware of that he has an ability? Because what they're telling me. Let me ask real quickly. Does your son ever tell you about things that are about to happen? Because he knows they're going to happen?
Just off the top of my head, I don't think so. I more tell him. When we're driving, I've avoided several accidents because I'm very gut. I'm a high empath, so I pick up on energies and things, and I know my gut feeling and my heart. So
yeah, you're listening. You're listening to your spirit guides tell you things. Yeah, your son actually has a little bit of a mediumship ability, and he also. They're telling me he also has some clairvoyance going on as well. Like sometimes, ask him about his dreams, because I'm being told that they're telling him things in his dreams. Sometimes he picks up on it, and sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah, he was in bed just after his dog passed away, and he had an angel that sat at the end of his bed, and it was only about 2 foot tall. And I have heard that that's only for the reason that the angel manifested itself into that size, so it didn't scare him. But does that make sense?
What was that again? I lost you for a minute.
He said that he had an angel. This is going back about 6-7 months ago at the end of his bed sitting there. And so he doesn't get spooked because he's used to me with the paranormal sort of issues and things.
Right.
And he said this thing was 2 foot tall. And it was sitting on around about 1.5 foot tall, just sitting on the end of his bed. And is it a possibility that that angel was a lot more glorious and bigger in stature, but it actually represented itself smaller, so it didn't scare him than this?
Yes, absolutely. Because they are pure energy, they can manipulate themselves to look like anything. Just like negative energies can do the same thing. And what I mean by that is there's no such thing as demons and devils and all that stuff. But we as people have been taught there are, and we think there are. Now, if a negative energy comes through and he does something to scare you, the first thing you're going to think of is a devil or a demon. And then at that point, that negative energy, because that's the way they communicate, it's more or less like a telepathy thing. He can read your mind. And if he reads your mind and you're thinking of a demon or a devil, then he will manipulate himself to look like a demon or a devil, come through and scare the shit out of you even more because he's allowed to. But in the course of angels as well, yes, they can manipulate themselves to look like anything they want to get their point across.
No, yeah, that's the feeling he had. He's quite ahead of himself. He's only about 14, 15 now, so he's just coming into that adult stage. But my other son's completely different when it comes to that. But yeah, it's amazing the different connections you have with on an individual basis, and I can agree with Linda.
Right, because you just picked up on it, and you just said exactly what it means. Because it's a connection on an individual basis.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that's the way they. That's the way that they came through.
I used to see the Hat Man as well in a house when I was about between 5 and 7 years old. I used to see him. So I just let you know, I heard you mention the Hat Man before. So yeah, I'm the same. Yeah,
he likes to observe, especially children, because children have that ability when they first come into this world. So again, he's just trying to figure out why they have it, because in his realm, they don't.
It was never threatening. It was always, just like a watcher. Just come.
Yeah, he's just a watcher. He's trying to figure you out. That's what he was doing.
Yeah. Okay. But well, thanks for taking my call. Anyway, I have to run. So thanks heaps.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate it.
Bye.
All right.
Man, I thought you guys have an accent. That guy's got an accent. He's not from here, right?
Right.
Got a pretty cool voice, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like he was Australian or something.
That's South Australia.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, the spirit can manipulate themselves because they are pure energy. I see them all the time, like when I see the ones who are earthbound, they are in a low negative energy place. Now, that doesn't mean they are pieces of crap. That just means they chose sometimes to just be there because they didn't want to come back. But I've seen them sometimes manipulate themselves right in front of me. They'll change hair colors right in front of me because they can. Just like your grandmother will come through and show herself as your grandmother, but what she's doing, because she has crossed over into the light, they actually have to slow their vibration down to actually be able to speak with us. So and then, like people, I tell people all the time, I was at this car show last year that I used to go to, just hang out at the bar and eat hot dogs and drink soda and talk to people. And, but at the end of the night, the bartender would like me to stay late because I would see things at nighttime. And she asked me, she came up, she said, "You going to stay late?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll hang out." She goes, "I want to see if you pick up on anything." I said, "All right." So she comes up to me at the end of the night. She says, "You see anything?" I said, "Yeah, I see a guy here with this, I have this in my book too, but he's got this beard, this white beard and a little bit of hair on top, but he's got glasses on his head. And he keeps pointing at his glasses like, I want you to see this." And I was like, "Okay." And then she says to me, "Do you get a name?" I said, "I don't normally get." And I was like, as soon as I was right in the middle of my sentence, I heard this word Jim. And I was like, it said James. I was like, "James?" "Yeah, his name is James." And she's like, "Really? Is he here for anybody?" I said, "Actually, he's here for these two people at the end of the bar. And she says, really? I said, yeah. She said, do you think I should go tell them, or do you want to tell them? I said, if you don't want to tell them, I will. I mean, it's up to you, because I already asked Spirit, and they'll be okay with it. And she said, you got to ask them? I said, yeah, because not everybody's okay with it, because, you know, people have religious backgrounds and not into this stuff. So I always ask, but you can go down and say something. So she says, I'll go down and say something. So she goes down there. She's down there about 2 minutes. And then right into the conversation, I hear this guy's wife sit there and she goes, oh, you mean my friend Jim? And I yelled down from the other end of the bar, yeah, Jim. But he goes by James. She said, yeah, but we just call him Jim. And I said, I walked down and I said, hi, how are you? My name's Daniel Jackson. I see dead people, because that breaks it up for them a little bit. And I said, yeah, your friend Jim. I said, he's here. I said, but he's not really here for you, miss. I said, he's here for your husband. She said, what do you mean? And he looked at me. I said, he's here for you as a spirit guide. He wants to help you because he says you're his son. And she said, that's kind of strange. And I said, why? And then her husband's sitting there playing with his phone, and he goes up and he goes, he shows me this picture. And he says, is Jim in this picture? And I said, yeah, that's him on the right. And he said, yeah, that's my friend Jim. He died 2 years ago. I said, yeah. I said, he's here for you as a spirit guide because he wants to help you make decisions. She said, and he said to me, what did you mean by, like, he said, I'm his kid. I said, he says that you're his son. He said, that's strange. I said, why? He said, because I've known Jim for about 15, 20 years, but because I got into racing cars, and he's taught me everything that I know about racing cars. I'm getting a little choked up. He said, everything that I know about racing cars, I know from Jim. And every time we were together, because we were together all the time, she said, his wife said, yeah, he was together with him more than he was with me. And I said, he says, every time we were together and we were around other crowds of people, he would tell everybody that he was my dad, but he's not my dad. He's just a friend that I know.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I said, Jim's here to help you. I said, but there's two things to this. He's here to help you make decisions. And he said, well, I don't know how many decisions I got left because I got real bad health problems. I said, yeah, you're going to be here for a while, buddy. So don't worry about it. But Jim's here to help you make decisions. And I told him how to do that. I said, you just ask him a question. Anything. If you want to buy a red car, all you have to do is have Jim tell you, show you a sign. And then what will happen is you'll know the sign because Jim knows what you like and you know what Jim likes. And you'll know when he puts it out there, you're going to pick up on it. But the way you'll pick up on it is Jim will put the sign out there. If you tell him you want this red car, he'll put the sign out there. He will connect with your soul, which runs your body, because it's not magic. It's not it's like a battery in a radio. If the battery's not in the radio turns off. It's the same thing. So I said you put the battery back in, the radio turns on. Well, he will connect with your soul, which will runs your body, will get you to turn around and see these signs. And if you see the sign, that means go buy the red car. If you don't see the signs, it means don't buy the red car. But what it also doesn't mean is go buy the red car and take some of the money and put it on some jewelry or something like that. You ask him a specific question, you'll get the specific answer. You try to turn it around with your ego, and you're going to screw it up. He said, yeah, I've had that happen in my life. I said, yeah, everybody does, because they like to screw it. They like to think it's going to make it better for themselves when it doesn't. It screws everything up. I said, but Jim will help you. But here's the important part. This part always chokes me up too. I said, the important part is Jim, like anybody who crosses over into the light, can go home to heaven. Jim gets to stay this time. He doesn't have to come back. But instead of going to heaven, Jim chose to come back here and be with you. And I said, if there's anything honorable in this world, heaven is like 100,000 times better than you can ever imagine it is. I see it. They show it to me. I can explain it to you, but it's pretty hard. But it's the most wonderful place you could ever be. They don't hug each other there. They stand in front of each other and they bow to each other. It's really beautiful to see. But instead of going to heaven, he chose to be here with you.
And you kind of got to have a lot of, connection to want to stay here, because that does it not draw you toward that light?
Right, it does. And you want to go. But sometimes they want to stay here and help other people. Because again, that's what it's about. And that's what they like to do. As a beautiful white light soul, it's what you want to do. You want to help. So why not help somebody who you believe or you think needs some help? So sometimes they ask, can I go back and help my friend instead of going home? And they say, yeah. And then you can cross them over if you want to, too. Cool, I will. And they'll help you. But yeah, this guy decided to not go to heaven, which is 100,000 times better than you can ever imagine it is, and chose to stay here with this guy and try to help him. And as I was telling them, his wife started bawling her eyes out. I said, oh, she's like, oh my God. I said, yeah. I mean, in heaven, you can do anything you want. You can go anywhere you want. You can go to other realms and planets and all that stuff. Mm. You chose to just hang out here with your husband. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So every time I would see that guy afterwards, I'd walk up and say, hey, man, how's Jim doing? And he said, oh, he's doing good. And he's been helping me a lot. I said, good. Then you're listening and following through. And that's what everybody should do. We all have the means and ability to do that, but then our ego gets involved because the world taught you to have one, and then it doesn't. So we could all make this change, but a lot of people don't. I follow it every time I make a big decision in my life. I ask them everything. You know, I asked them today because I was sick today. I'm supposed to go on this excursion with my wife and our two friends to a town over here, a real old town that's supposedly really haunted.
Vulture City?
No, it's called Bisbee. And I asked my guys, I said, am I going to be well enough to go tomorrow? And they said, yes. I said, good. So then I don't worry about it because I know I'll be okay tomorrow. Because everything they tell me, I follow. Everything they tell me, I know is the truth. I mean, I get answers for people all the time. When I got done that thing with that guy, Jim, I turned around, and when I looked, the bartender, and there was like 15, 20 people standing there, and they all had their mouths open. And I said, I can't make this shit up. How would I know his name is Jim, and he wore glasses and had a beard and was in that frickin' picture? How would I know that? And they said, the bartender was like, I love this. I love when you come here. I was like, but this is what I do. I help them for free. I charge people for readings. When I do a reading, if they come in person, it's $120. But even if that reading lasts for 2 or 3 hours, I don't give a shit. Right. I don't charge. I know mediums who will charge you if you go over 10 minutes, they start charging you again. I don't do that. It's important for me and important for that person to get the information that they need. That's all I care about. I charge them for one simple fact because it does take my time and it takes energy for me to do this. But am I going to start charging them more? No. Why should I? And then I always tell them afterwards, if you got any questions afterward that you didn't think of now, that you want to think of, that you thought of later, just get a hold of me. I'll answer them for you. Well, how much is that going to cost? Nothing.
We got time for one more question. I do believe we got like 6 minutes left on our 3-hour maximum.
Yeah.
But the Axiom
Sorry,
World.
guys.
That's okay. It's a great show, man. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Axiom World said, what about people who used to have premonitions all their lives but had lost the ability?
They lost the ability because they didn't do anything with it. If you don't do something with it, it will go away. People get premonitions all the time, but what do? They go, oh, I know somebody's going to die, and they don't say anything about it. You're getting these messages for a reason. And if you don't do anything with those messages, it will go away because they give you these messages, again, for a reason. And they want people to help other people. And if you're not out there doing it, they will find someone else. Someone else who has the ability, who doesn't realize it, and then start giving them a bunch of messages to wake them up so that they will do something with it. But if you just push it away from your life because you can't figure it out or you're afraid of it, then they'll just find someone else who will be okay with it and do something with it. That's why.
Great answer.
So we're down to the last 4 minutes and 30 seconds of our time.
It's been a good show, Daniel.
It's been a great show.
It.
And we'd definitely like to have you on again sometime.
I've been looking forward to getting on this show for so long, but then I got sick, and then we had that cancellation. I was like, oh, man, I've been looking forward to getting on this show.
Well, thank you for coming on, and hopefully we could have you on again sometime.
Yeah, and anytime you want me to come on, you just let me know, and we'll do it.
Okay. Maybe we could have just like a all call-in show where people can call in and get the readings and.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll do that. If somebody wants to come in, and I'll do it, no problem.
If you can do it in about 30 seconds, can you tell me how many lives I've had, Jason?
29. You're on number 29.
I've been here longer than you, buddy.
You've been here. I'm the youngin' in here.
Yeah, and he's bragging about it. He's bragging about the fact that he's been screwing it up. Isn't that some shit?
Hey. Maybe I just like it here. I don't know.
It's pretty cool sometimes, but out of those 29 times, you're on number 29. You've been here when there's been times of kings and queens and probably knights and shining armor and all that bullshit. I mean, would you want to live through that type of shit again? Because we're headed toward it.
Well,
coming back to the Stone Age again.
I think the older I get, the more I want to go home. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, because you know that saying, people say it all the time, oh, he's an old soul. You know what? Everybody's an old soul. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah.
I must not have learned a lot because I'm learning a lot this time.
Well, maybe you should learn to cut your hair.
Oh, yeah. That's me.
That's David.
That's me.
I'm the bald one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which one of you plays in the band?
Jeff, he's not, he's don't do the show with us, but he has the band Catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I like that music. I'm into I grew up in the, basically the 80s. I mean, I've seen Def Leppard when the drummer had two arms, that type of thing. So, yeah, I love that type of music, and I think they're pretty cool. They sound like almost a mix, a little bit like Metallica and something else, but yeah, they sound pretty good.
Yes, got a little Southern in there. We'll have to send you one of the CDs. We've got some CDs here, so.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You have to hit Jason up with your address and stuff, and we'll send you a CD.
I love that music. My wife, she listens to Britney Spears bullshit, but not me. No, it's all about the Judas Priest and Pantera for me.
There you go. Heck yeah. Me too.
All right,
gotta
Daniel.
enjoy that shit while we're here.
That's it.
We appreciate it, and we'll definitely, contact you again. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely, yeah. I will be on the show. You guys name it, and I'll be there. That's if I'm not shitting myself or throwing up or both at the same time.
Right.
All right, man. We really appreciate it.
Have
a good night.
Thank you.
All right, you guys be good. Don't do any stupid shit.
Try not to. Good night.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Daniel everybody
Jackson.
For I'm going to play this while we do the end of our show here.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the show.
Just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out, listening. The callers that called in tonight, and
Bird Dog.
Appreciate
you being in the chat room.
Everybody else over here in the Podbean chat room, and want to say we'll be here again. Hopefully every Friday, if not, because I'm a truck driver and I'm out doing something. Couldn't get back home. But we try to do some short shows during the week, and but we appreciate all of you guys that come and listen.
Yeah, check out some of our new shows, and also go to our YouTube, Paranormal 411, and subscribe, please. That'll help.
Yes. Have a good night.
Have a good night.